We are live again. We are live again. All you do is win Wednesday. All we do is win Wednesday. Trump knows, Trump knows, Trump knows, giving Democrats the boo-hoo-hoo blues, giving Democrats the boo-hoo-hoo blues. Yeah, we back. We live again with another one. Perfect Timing Podcast back with a blast, in and out with a dash. 2026 won't last. We're going to get this done real fast, man. We in and out of here, man. Oh, it sounds so good in the headphones. How it sound to you? It sounds so good in the headphones, man. Let's hit them hot off the presses, man. The clock just hit 0. It's Wednesday, April 22nd. April 22nd, yesterday they tried to freeze the truth. They glitched. The feed right now, we got the receipts, but we don't blink. We're back, and we don't fucking quit. The gear is locked at 7:20 p.m. The math is ironclad. Trump told you on Squawk Box, I expect to be bombing. We look at the map. The Navy is boarding the Tiffany. We boarded the Tosca. The ceasefire is a memory. We aren't talking about it anymore. If we're talking about it now, if you're part of the 240K Army, hit the like button right now. Break the algorithm chokehold. We have a lot to cover and no hellos. Just smoke, just pure fire. Double tap, hit the like button. Let's look at the movement right now. J.D. Vance is on the ground in Islamabad, is watching the Red Alliance. The Red Alliance has been unleashed. Double tap, hit the like button. Can I get Red Alliance in the chat? It's moving in sync. This isn't just a drill. Double tap, hit the like button. This is not a drill. When the commander-in-chief sets a Wednesday deadline and the Navy starts bombing sanctioned vessels the moment it expires, that is a strike force in action. The legacy media is talking about diplomacy. We're looking at actual tonnage and weather. We're going to track these coordinates live for the next hour. The Mars Mar multiple angles, one truth. Double tap, hit the like button. Now let's talk about where we're going to start off today is the Nancy Guthrie, why did Pima Sheriff County wait 11 weeks? Why did it take the FBI stepping in, secure DNA evidence? We've been tracking the shadow from behind this delay. Yesterday, lag happened right when we pulled the names up. Coincidence? Maybe because they say it's otherwise. We had the receipts in the chain of custody. This isn't just a local case. This is a system failure at the highest level. We're looking at who signed off on an 11-week silence. The Army wants answers, and we're going to give them the names. Double tap, hit the like button. I see my brother Cash Patel doing, yesterday somebody talked about the Southern Poverty Law Center and funding the KKK and control opposition. You know what I really noticed about that Cash Patel press conference is, you guys remember, that was one of our greatest shows when we did the show about Cash Patel in the Olympics having a beer. Cash Patel has a beer. I had a beer. I had another beer. I had 2 beers, 3 beers, 4 beers. How many people had a beer, man? How many people had a beer, man? They trying to do our brother Cash Patel here. What I loved about what Cash Patel said is that, and this is true about Donald Trump too. This is true about Donald Trump and Sleepy Joe. I mean, you could go back several presidents. We got one of the hardest working presidents despite his age right now, right? But then the same thing was true with the last FBI director. And damn it, did you know? Damn it, did you know? Did you know? Did you know? We're going to talk about Obama. We're going to talk about Obama. We're going to talk about Obama, Yo Mama, the Black Panther, the Black Wakanda, the Black Wakandan Panther. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about Obama. We're going to talk about the Russian hoax. We're going to talk about the meeting that they had in the White House. Like, for a long time, somebody, you know, that white Indian, what's her name? Elizabeth, I don't know. What's that white Indian name? You remember the white Indian? The white Indian was asking the new director, did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election? And that's he answered the question, but it's not a simple question, right? Because so much information is coming out. What did I teach you about the 2020 election? What I taught you about the 2020 election is that Tulsi Gabbard, just like Tulsi Gabbard is leading the campaign on charging Obama and all of his cronies, Tulsi Gabbard went to Fulton County, and we have over 600,000 votes in question. 695,000 votes in question to be exact. Double tap, hit the like button. 695,000 votes to be exact. You know what I'm saying? Two different sets of votes been missing. The Fulton County, and this is the thing, Fulton County, the state body of Georgia has been trying to rein in Fulton County and all of its corruption. It hasn't been successful, right? So the first act that we talked about in Fulton County was the 315,000 votes that was missing on the recorded data that never got recorded and never got signed off. Fulton County Elections Commissions admitted to the 315,000 votes that weren't recorded. In fact, they said because these 315,000 votes, which they claim weren't illegal in 2020, it's illegal now. Hello, double tap at the like button. It's illegal now. Fulton County says it wasn't illegal then, but they do acknowledge the 315,000 votes. Perfect. You said 695,000. Just wait. Just wait. So Fulton County acknowledges the 315,000 votes that weren't recorded. They have a brand new facility that cost them millions of dollars. They said, since we made that mistake in 2020, I have brand new managers. I have brand new SOPs. We have a brand new board of directors, and we were given millions of dollars with a brand new facility. Who in the chat knows what an SOP is? Why would Fulton County say to address the 315,000 votes, Tulsi Gabbard, 2020. Remember, Elizabeth, the Indian, was just asking about the 2020 election. I'm not bringing it up. The Democrats keep bringing it up. The Democrats just brought it up in Congress about 2020 and Trump losing 2020. So it's relevant when Fulton County loses 315,000 votes, but that's just the first loss. I told you 695,000 in total. They admit to the 315. They admit to the 315. That 315,000 votes got them a new facility, got them new standard operating procedures, got them a new management staff. So they admit that they made a mistake in 2020. They don't count the votes the same way they did in 2020. That's what an SOP is. It's a standard operating procedure. They no longer count the votes the same way. They no longer count the votes the same way. So they acknowledge that they lost 315. But then I reported another story. Yeah, another story of another 380,000 votes that didn't have images. And the state election board was asking Fulton County, don't you agree that all votes should have images? So then we have two major faux pas, not adding in that they stopped counting because of a toilet. I said not adding in that they stopped counting votes because of the toilet. They told you there was a flood. It wasn't no flood. That was They told you it was a flood. It wasn't no flood. It was a leaky toilet, a little pee-pee on the ground, a little dripple, a little droplet, a little dripple droplet. And they stopped counting, woke up in the morning, and Biden was president. But now we got these 695,000 votes in question. We got Tulsi Gabbard in Fulton County threatening to arrest people, confiscating the votes. We got Fulton County, Fannie Willis with a cover-up, and just to lay the foundation of Barack Obama and the Russia hoax. So you got Tulsi Gabbard going after Barack Obama and the Russian hoax, that they had a meeting. They had a meeting, Cuomo, all of these people, and Biden was in the room, Hillary Clinton was in the room, and Hillary Clinton had an idea to sandbag Trump like they did with this term, with the Epstein files. I'm telling you, they had a meeting. I said it, the Epstein files, even Stephen A. Smith had to admit, as a Democrat, Stephen A. Smith said, you know what? These Epstein files have been around. Why is it so important that they get released now? And why has it been an albatross around Donald Trump's neck in 2026? It wasn't an albatross for Biden. Why are the Democrats making it an albatross now? It was because they did the same thing in the first Donald Trump administration with the Russia hoax. It was all a hoax. It was all by design. It was Hillary Clinton and the Clinton mafia and the Biden mafia's design to tie, to link Trump to Putin in Russia and drag down not only his presidency, his campaign, and his administration. They tried to do the same thing with the Epstein files. So I was aware every time Trump said, why are we talking about Epstein? Why are we talking about Epstein? Trump was eerily aware of what happened in his first administration. So was I. That they was trying to sandbag this administration with a dead man. Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Jeffrey Epstein is dead and got found guilty 2 times. That's why Trump kept expressing, why is this an issue now when we have global tariffs, we have the Ukraine war, we have a mass immigration crisis to where we have immigrants who are not citizens coming across the border during the Biden era, obtaining driver's licenses. We just had the transportation secretary fining New York. I talked about Colorado. I talked about California. California got fined over $100 million. Colorado, another $50 million. The transportation secretary just fined New York another $50 million because of what took place. So why are we talking about Epstein? This is a real thing. Epstein is dead, found guilty twice. His victims are 60 years old, and Ghislaine is in prison. Why are we bringing him up? That's what Donald Trump was saying. And Donald Trump knew at that time that he was the only one who called the police, and that Bill Clinton was his best friend in hot tubs wearing matching Versace shirts. You can't make this shit up. Bill Clinton in hot tubs with Jeffrey Epstein and bitches wearing matching Versace shirts, but still the Democrats wanted to bring it up. We never would have saw Bill Clinton in the matching Versace shirt if it wasn't for Democrats. We never would have saw Bill Clinton in the hot tub with the bitches if it wasn't for the Democrats. We never would have saw Bill Gates. We never would have saw the other little movie producer. We never would have saw all of the Democrat money that was donated by Jeffrey Epstein. If Jasmine Crockett hadn't tried to link Republicans to Jeffrey Epstein, remember Jasmine Crockett tried to link Jeffrey Epstein money to Republicans, but she didn't do her research. That's why Jasmine Crockett is fired. That's why the Democrats are just a joke. All the way around, the Democrats are a joke. Jasmine Crockett tried to link Jeffrey Epstein to the Republicans. Turns out she was wrong. When the IRS reviewed the guy that they brought up, it turns out he was a Democrat. So then what MAGA Republicans like myself did is that the IRS reports are all free to the public. The public can go see who donated to who. So there's no secrets. If Jeffrey Epstein donated to a Republican, it's public knowledge. And what did we find? What did we find when we went to go look? What did we find when we went to go look if Jeffrey Epstein ever had donated to a Republican? Well, we find that he never donated to a Republican, right? He never donated to a Republican. Ain't that something? You mean the Democrats been saying Donald Trump is this, Donald Trump is that, and all of these different things. And turns out that the Democrat darling who got fired, crocodile tears, Jasmine Crockett is gone. No more Jasmine Crockett. So Jasmine Crockett is gone, right? Turns out Jasmine Crockett helped MAGA. Jasmine Crockett helped Republicans by exposing the fact that Jeffrey Epstein didn't have a relationship like he had with Stacey Plaskett with not one Republican, like he had with Hakeem Jeffries with not one Republican, like he had with Chuck Schumer, not with one Republican. See, he donated to Chuck Schumer. He donated to the presidential campaigns of presidents. He donated to the Democratic senators. Do you know beyond the DNC, there's a body of senators. There's a body for Democratic senators. They take donations. Jeffrey Epstein donated to them. The DNC takes donations. The DNC, the Democratic Party, the Democratic Convention, they take money from. They still have $35,000. So he gave money to the DNC. He gave to the Senate body. Then he gave to different elected presidents: Bill Clinton, Chuck Schumer, Stacey Plaskett. Jeffrey Epstein was a mover and a shaker in the Democratic Party, but they wanted to bog down Trump with it. So we got Tulsi Gabbard exposing Obama. Isn't this awesome? Isn't this awesome? Tulsi Gabbard exposing Obama and his administration's attempt to sandbag the Trump administration with this Russia hoax. And now people should be getting charged. I want to see Comey. Remember, Comey was supposed to testify. That's why Pamela Bondi, Shifty Schiff, Letitia James, and Comey were supposed to be getting prosecuted. So where is that at? That's why Pam Bondi is gone. But based on reports from July, Tulsi Gabbard, acting director of national intelligence, the DNI director in the Trump administration, released declassified documents alleging that former President Barack Obama, his national security team manufactured intelligence regarding Russian interference in the 2016 election. Double tap, hit the like button. See, these things are not just trivial things that we're going over today. These are the realities that are coming out now that you should be paying attention to. That the declassified memo is what Trump is why Trump won $30 million. Why Trump, and when fake news is not a joke, he won $15 million from ABC, another $15 million from CBS, what $30 million in total. He has $1 billion lawsuit with the BBC, who tried to change his speech on January 6th when he actually was trying to calm things down. These are the realities. These are the realities. I don't know how many people know about it, but this is what's going on. Tulsi Gabbard is seizing ballots, right? I told you Tulsi Gabbard is seizing ballots in Fulton County. Tulsi Gabbard is prosecuting Barack Obama and Comey and the whole Obama mafia. Do we gotta have a Obama mafia? We got a Biden mafia. We got a Clinton mafia. What you know? These Democrats need to be reined in. That's why we do our job here. Double tap, hit the like button. #1 podcast on YouTube. Thank you for coming to the live chat. Welcome to the live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Welcome to the live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Double tap, hit the like button. #1 podcast on YouTube. Just for context, this is Tulsi Gabbard involved in seizing ballots in Fulton County. Remember, I told you about the 600,000 ballots in question in Fulton County, and don't forget the Obama.
National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, dressed all in black, seemed to look the part of a spy as she moved through the restricted area where the FBI was conducting a search warrant at the Georgia election hub. But the big question is, what was she even doing there? It's a question that has set off a firestorm in D.C. intelligence circles and in Congress. Why? Let me say this from what I know as a former Deputy Assistant Director of National Intelligence. The DNI has no legal authority to conduct or oversee investigations on U.S. soil, and no DNI, since the office was created in 2004, has ever been at the scene of a court-authorized FBI search warrant, period. Among the policies the DNI is there to enforce are those that generally prohibit the CIA, the NSA, and other spy agencies from collecting intelligence on Americans or conducting operations on U.S. soil, no matter what you saw on Homeland or 24. The FBI is an exception to that rule. But the FBI has its own director, Kash Patel, and without a documented connection to a hostile foreign power interfering in the 2020 Georgia election process, what role is Gabbard, as DNI, playing in this investigation? The top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee.
Let's keep going. That's an old white man that just want to hear his voice.
There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't. The report that we released today shows in great detail how they carried this out. They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence that disproved their false claims. They disobeyed traditional tradecraft intelligence community standards and withheld the truth from the American people. In doing so, they conspired to subvert the will of the American people who elected Donald Trump in that election in November of 2016. They worked with their partners in the media to promote this lie, ultimately to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump and launching what would be a years-long coup against him and his administration. There is irrefutable evidence that detail.
Double tap at the like button. Get the likes up, everybody. Let's get the likes up. We're moving slow on the likes the last couple of days. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. We're moving slow on the likes in the last couple of days, man. Let's get the likes up, man. Let's get the likes up. Double tap at the like button. It's free. Double tap, hit the like button. I don't know what's going on out there. Everybody right now watching, you got the 3 ellipses in the top right-hand corner. Hit those 3 ellipses. As you come in, make it a habit. Make it a habit. Everybody, as you come in, watch the channel. This is Trump news, Trump news, Trump news, giving Democrats the boo-hoo-hoo blues. So all we do is win Wednesday. Even if you came from MAGA, put your hands in the air. Let them stay there. I said this is all we do is win Wednesday. And if you came from MAGA, put your hands in the air. Let them stay there. Double tap hit the like button as you come in. You know what to do, man. You know what to do, man. Get the likes up, baby. Get the likes up, baby. I know I come in hot and fast. We only been live a few minutes, man. I come in hot and fast. I already got Tulsi Gabbard up. You know what I'm saying? I come in hot and fast, man. I come in hot and fast, man. I do, man. I come in hot and fast, man. I come in hot and fast, man. I'm excited to see everybody. Excited to have a conversation, excited to discuss everything. You see the thumbnails, fire thumbnail in the background. Fire Perfect Timing Podcast episode, another fire episode, man. Feels so good, don't you agree? Feels so good, don't you agree? So the deadline ran out, man. The deadline ran out, and Trump is saying that the Straits of Hormuz will remain closed. Double tap hit the like button. The Straits of Hormuz will remain closed, and the ceasefire will stay in place. Ceasefire will stay in place, and Straits closed. So ceasefire is going to stay in place, and the Straits are going to stay closed. Is the latest. You know what I'm saying? Now, a lot of people closed, open, closed again. What's happening in the Strait? A lot of people talking about the reason why Donald Trump continued the ceasefire is because Iran is doing so great. You know, and people are talking about Iran attacks 3 ships in the Straits of Hormuz. Iran is playing a propaganda war, but I did my research today. Do y'all know what's really going on in Iran? Does anybody know? I got something I want to share with y'all. Does anybody really know what's going on in Iran, and what is the result of losing $500 million a day and all of the destruction that we have caused? Well, the result is food lines, bread lines, and people people starving and not having food to eat. That's the result in Iran right now. Right now, what we have is bread lines. We got bread lines. We got people with not enough food to eat in Iran. Double tap, hit the like button. Let's get the likes up, everybody. #1 podcast on YouTube for geopolitical debate. #1 podcast for domestic discussions today. We still talking about system collapse. We're going to talk about, because last night I saw a lot more violence, man. I don't know if y'all been noticing, man, but there's a mental health crisis in America. I saw a triple homicide in Oakland. We've been talking about the violence. We've been talking about the mental health. We talked about Joe Rogan and the Ibogaine. We talked about the Shreveport incident where the father unalived himself and 7 of his children, and the fact that he was a mental health patient and he was actually in a hospital, that we could have saved those kids. We got a lot to break down. We got a lot to break down. So we got to get the likes up, get the momentum going. Everybody come on in, like, share, subscribe. Let everybody know that Perfect Timing Podcast is live, and we got another Fire Wednesday show. Double tap, hit the like button. We got another Fire Wednesday show. We're going to do a Nancy Guthrie update, and we're going to talk about what we initially talked about with the South American theft groups, and how the sheriff, I believe with this Nancy Guthrie, we may not ever find Nancy Guthrie, unfortunately. But we may be able to help other American elders and senior citizens by prosecuting the sheriff and prosecuting the local authorities in Tucson and uncovering the status of border cities in America post-Biden, post-Kamala Harris. The biggest thing about Nancy Guthrie that I would share with everybody, this is the reason why Nancy Guthrie hasn't been found. I've been saying this the entire time. The reason Nancy Guthrie has not been found is because it would present a reality that Democrats and liberals do not want to face about what took place in 2022 during the Biden era. So by modest estimates, 10 million people came across the border. What we need to do is, even if we take the Democrats and we believe the Democrats and say, okay, only 10 million people came across. If we believe the Democrats, where are those 10 million? Right? We know a lot of them came to sanctuary cities and sanctuary states, right? Like California, like Illinois, Chicago, and New York. New York paid for millions of dollars in hotels. Chicago gave out millions of dollars in food stamps. California has been giving out driver's licenses. We're going to go to a story about New York getting fined for giving out driver's license. But when we talk about Nancy Guthrie, the reason why she hasn't been found, the reason why the sheriff refused to work with the FBI is because what I said the whole time, that Tucson is an hour away by Highway 19 from Nogales. So Tucson is right on the border. It is possible that Nancy Guthrie was taken and in Mexico within an hour's time. We show video of cars moving fast. So we saw people walking in the neighborhood. Then we show video of cars going fast. You know whatever no one ever talked about is the logistics. I work in logistics, so I brought up a map. I said, how close is Tucson to the border? And then my assistant said, well, it's actually very close. Tucson, but not only Tucson, but Nancy Guthrie's particular neighborhood is connected to an interstate. Her neighborhood is a few minutes from an interstate. That interstate 19 can get a person from Nancy Guthrie's home to the border in an hour. In an hour. We never talk about this because people think it's racist to focus on the fact that we have so many. Now, if you think about this, this is the way I've explained this to people. Donald Trump has talked about the Somalians and the Somalian fraud. The way, and I love my president. I believe he's the greatest president in modern times in your lifetime. The way he's framed the Somalian fraud allows me to talk about Nancy Guthrie in a more honest way. The way he framed Somalian crime, he says Somalian fraud should be looked at from a cultural aspect. We should be careful about the cultural background of people we allow in our country. I was so proud of the president when he made that assessment because it is eerily similar to what has taken place with the Nancy Guthrie. This is a culturally different crime. That's why the FBI is having a hard time finding out who did it because it's not an American. This is a culturally different crime makeup, just like the Somalians in Minneapolis when Donald Trump said the crime that they committed was culturally different than what Americans would do. So kidnapping an 85-year-old woman, kidnapping an 85-year-old woman for ransom. This is what I said from the beginning. I said new generation Jalisco cartel, Mexican cartels. What have we always heard about the Mexican cartels and political assassinations and what? Kidnappings. There's movies. Right. So culturally in America, we sell drugs, we do all type of different sex trafficking. But as far as kidnapping for ransom, I asked the FBI, everybody watching right now, you're on the internet. You can go to Google, you can go to your iWatch, you can do a lot of different things. You can go to the FBI website and you can ask the FBI about criminals in America and what are their proclivities. And I looked it up. And then when you do that, also look up a Mexican cartel, South American cartels. I said she was kidnapped by a South American theft group. Look up their proclivities. And what you find when you look up New Generation Cartel, when you look up TDA, Trinta de Agua, is that one of the things that pop up very quickly. This is not a hard search. You don't have to dig deep. What you find very quickly is that the New Generation Jalisco cartel, that TDA, Trinta de Agua, kidnapped for ransom. It's one of the main things they do. It's one of the main things they do. They've done it for years. That means they're good at it. They have it down. Americans are not good at kidnapping. Whenever you hear about an American crime of kidnapping, it's always bad. It's always messy because Americans don't kidnap. They don't kidnap and they don't kidnap successfully for ransom, right? But when you talk about the South American theft groups, when you talk about New Generation, when you talk about TDA, Trinta de Agua, and when you go do the research, that is what they do. That is their MO. That is their MO, modus operandi. That's what they do. And then as I bring it up, as you listen, you got to be honest. You got to tell, you know what? I do like as I bring it up, you got to say to yourself, you know what? I have heard a lot about kidnappings. I've heard a lot about kidnappings as it relates to the cartel. Not only like, you know, rich individuals, influential individuals in Latin America and South America, but you hear a lot about kidnappings. You hear a lot about kidnappings of, you know, political people, right? That you hear a lot about. That's what you hear about in Mexico. That's how the cartels run it. That's why the cartels run everything. They'll kidnap, they'll kill. But kidnapping is a big thing that they do. Not just people, but presidents and mayors. We've heard about that for years. So Nancy Guthrie is kidnapped. Another thing I said is, another thing that's not a proclivity of Americans is to kidnap an 85-year-old white woman. You know, when you look at FBI statistics and you look at crime data, what you find when you look at crime data, things break down by race, by proximity. So they say they know what a white male 25 to 35, what is his most likely crimes? What is a black male 25 to 35? What is his most likely crimes? This is what FBI statistics are all about, right? So one of the things that I researched that you can research yourself is that we would not kidnap an 85-year-old white woman. That's just not happening. Americans, they're not going to kidnap an 85-year-old white woman. Why? It's the same thing like when you messing with a child in America. If you go to prison, you're gonna get handled. You will be unalived. If these were Americans and they kidnapped an 85-year-old white woman, a grandmother who was almost 90, who had a heart pacemaker for money, and they got arrested and went to an American prison, they wouldn't live. They wouldn't live out the rest of the night. Do you guys know that? So that's why it doesn't happen in America. That's not something that happens every day. You would hear about it. You would hear about grandmothers being kidnapped for money if it was something that American gang members did, but it's not what they do. But it is what South American theft groups and cartels do. And we did have a $10 million human influx of these individuals. I mean, literally, we had millions of people. Venezuela opened up their jails, and we had an influx of TDA, Trinidad de Agua, new generation Jalisco cartel members come across the border. So when you add up the fact of what took place in 2022, if you add in the fact of how close it is to the border, if you add in the fact the cultural proclivity of these individuals to kidnap for money, but then add that to my research of South American theft groups who have been caught, 20 of them in Texas, and they go into homes. They first look for you online, and then they find when you're going to be home, and then they go and they steal millions of dollars. Nancy Guthrie kidnapping was for millions of dollars. This was not a small-time criminal who happened upon the Guthrie home. I've said that from the beginning. This was not a small-time criminal who happened upon the Guthrie home and just accidentally stole Nancy Guthrie and then asked for millions of dollars. That's not what happened. That's not how it works. That's not how the South American theft group operates. The South American theft group knows the South American theft group knows the people that is going after. As of February 2026, the South American theft group's SATG has been linked to over 60 high-end residential burglaries in the Houston area, specifically targeting affluent homes in suburbs like West University Place, Fort Bend, and Montgomery counties. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you guys, this is what I'm talking about, man. And people are leaving this out. I don't know why people are leaving this out, but this is the story, brothers and sisters. This is what happened to Nancy Guthrie. Now, today, I'm going to show this video, and then we're going to get into our update about the sheriff and this new sample of hair that has been around for 11 weeks The sheriff has been sitting on evidence for over 11 weeks. Now, remember, I've talked about this. I have several episodes. If you want to go to my channel, I have a playlist on a Nancy Guthrie, and I've gone through detailed analysis. And I talked about why the sheriff would not want to send this evidence to Quantico. Why didn't this evidence get to Quantico? Why didn't this evidence get to Quantico? Double tap, hit the like button. Why didn't this evidence get to Quantico? Does anybody know? Why didn't this evidence get to Quantico? Why did the sheriff hold off on this evidence for over 11 weeks? You would think immediately. What I said is, whenever we watch like Law and Order, SVU with Ice-T, and everybody makes jokes about Ice-T, and you watch your favorite cop movie, your favorite cop TV show, what's the scene that we're all familiar with? When the FBI walks in and takes a case. We all seen that, because that's when the actor, Chief, you can't let him take my case. You know what I'm saying? Because the FBI does what? The FBI handles kidnapping. That's what the FBI does. The FBI handles kidnapping, right? So the FBI is known for coming in and taking the case on all of our favorite TV shows. The FBI comes in, I need an office here, and you're going to help me, and I'm going to take over the case because it's kidnapping. It's a federal crime. I'm taking it over. I said from the beginning, how the hell was this sheriff allowed to kick off the FBI when it's a kidnapping? They must have lied from the beginning. Remember, from the beginning, they said it was a missing person. And that's what led to all of this moving around. You had a missing person. You had the sheriff allow pool cleaners into the house. The pool cleaners had chemicals that could have got rid of the DNA evidence. Do you know now it's going to take even longer to find out what happened, because of the sheriff and local authorities' mistakes, they have to do more DNA testing. It's not just this hair. This could be Nancy Guthrie's hair. It could be the kidnapper's hair. But it's been 11 weeks sitting in the lab in Florida instead of in the FBI Quantico labs. Now FBI is taking over. FBI is getting the sample. But you got to ask yourself, everybody listening to me who really cares about this case, who really cares about this elderly old woman, you got to ask yourself, why did the sheriff not want to work with the FBI? It doesn't make sense. They're both law enforcement. The FBI has better equipment, faster capabilities to find out who did wrong. The only conclusion I can come to is that the sheriff didn't want the DNA sample. The only conclusion why I would think that the sheriff wouldn't want to work with the FBI is that he's trying to cover something up. Everybody wants to point to Thomas Cole and the son-in-law and all of this shit. Why would the sheriff allow in pool cleaners? Why would the sheriff sit on DNA evidence for 11 weeks? These are valid questions. Why would the sheriff do that? I have no idea. That makes no sense why the sheriff would do that. Double tap hit the like button, man. Let's go into the South American theft groups. I talked about this last time. I talked about this last time, but I don't know, how many people are new here. I don't know how many people are new here. So I'm going to give a background, a visual. I remember I was doing something and this beautiful young lady said, "Oh, you're a visual learner." And I was like, okay, I guess I'm a visual learner. You know what I'm saying? So she was saying how I'm a visual learner. So let me provide this visual content for everybody watching so y'all can see what I'm talking about with my South American theft group theory. We don't have enough likes, y'all. We moving real slow on the likes today. What is it? Sloth Wednesday? You know what I'm saying? Double tap hit the like button, man. Big favorite, man. Everybody watching right now, go ahead and hit the like button, like, share, and subscribe. When you subscribe, you're going to get a plus sign that will allow you to become a member. We're running a special membership right now. It's called a Somalian special. You know what I'm saying? You can support my channel for less than it costs to feed a starving Somalian. You feel what I'm saying? We are the world. We are the children. Somalians moved here and stole 19 billion, allegedly. They built learning centers. The children didn't learn shit. One more time. They built leering centers. The children didn't lear shit. They didn't even go. They didn't even go to class. Double tap in the like button. #1 podcast on YouTube for geopolitical debate, man. Dive in, man. Dive in the chat. Dive in the likes. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Everybody in the building, we getting Epstein money.
So much for joining us for this special 1-hour Olympic edition of KPRC2 News at 6. I'm Keith Garvin.
And I'm Stefania Jimenez. That group that Keith just mentioned is known as the South American Theft Group, or SATG. And tonight, investigators say they may be connected to dozens of burglaries right in our area.
KPRC2 News reporter Bryce Newberry is live in the newsroom with what we know about this group. Bryce.
Keith and Stefania, we obtained a search warrant that outlines a lot of this new information after burglars allegedly moved a table up against a West University home, then climbed up onto a second-floor balcony, broke in, and stole more than $500,000 worth of jewelry and watches. West University Place police say those tactics used by the burglars are consistent with the South American Theft Group, now linked to more than 60 home burglaries in our region. In this case, investigators say the suspects drove to that break-in using a rented car. And to rent the car, police say the suspect used a fake ID from Argentina, but facial recognition technology and help from the FBI revealed his real identity to be a man from Chile. He's now in custody related to that fake ID while investigators pore over his cell phone data. Now, this group is known for its brazenness. The FBI says sometimes sending their stolen goods back to Chile or Colombia. The suspects either enter the U.S. illegally or overstay their visas, according to the FBI, and frequently use rental cars, fake IDs, and multiple burner phones.
When choosing which homes to break into, these groups gravitate towards expensive homes with surroundings like golf courses, parks, or walking trails, features that can make it easier for would-be thieves to sneak in.
Just like Nancy Guthrie's home. When we look at the footage, what do you see? It's surrounded by like a park.
They use a combination of internet research, surveillance, and commercially available camera and tracking technologies to scope out their targets. When they decide to strike, they tend to break into homes through their back windows or glass doors, preferably on the second floor of a residence. And once inside, they mainly look to steal jewelry and designer accessories, frequently leaving other expensive items behind.
So this group targets all kinds of people, according to the FBI, not just pro athletes or wealthy business owners. Tonight, that Chilean national arrested does have an ICE hold. He's in the Harris County jail, but he has not been charged with any burglary-related crimes. And so far, it does not appear anyone else has been charged in connection to all of this. Again, a lot of this new information we're learning.
So I had another one I liked a little bit better. That's a good video of the South American theft groups. Let me see, which one was the one that I showed where the guy talked about the signal jammers. It was one that I showed where the guy talked about the signal jammers. So South American theft groups, look online. Around the country.
Homes, the doors and windows, using ladders, in many cases the victim's own ladders. Hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of property taken in one of those break-ins, and you're about to see one of the thieves in action during a previous break-in last year. Watch as a masked man creeps around the backyard of a Westview home December 11th. We see him peering around a tree shortly before the homeowner says he used her ladder to access her second-floor balcony and smashed through the balcony door, all while 2 of her children were home. It's one of 4 home break-ins and 3 attempted break-ins since January 2025 that Westview police say may be connected to a South American theft ring. Tonight, the dominant topic at Westview's public safety meeting.
I think that is shocking, the fact that you have people coming from South America to terrorize Americans.
The FBI has been investigating the theft ring for years, and now Houston area agencies are too. They've previously been linked to break-ins at the homes of professional athletes throughout.
Now, this is one of the things. Now, look at that. Is everybody looking? Everybody looking, this is one of the things I've highlighted. What do you see there? What do you see there? What was one of the major things that internet sleuths that we brought up in the Nancy Guthrie case? What are we looking at? This is Texas. This is Texas. This is a South American theft group in Texas. Double tap, hit the like button. And what did I say? What did I say? I said, these are the people responsible for Nancy Guthrie. So one of the major things that we noticed from the Nancy Guthrie case is that these Ozark backpacks with reflectors, Ozark backpacks with reflectors. What do you see in this image? You see, just like in the Nancy Guthrie video, you see individuals at the front door with an Ozark backpack with reflectors. So that's just one piece, but it's not about this is the thing that you didn't understand when they talked about the Nancy Guthrie case. What is it about the backpack? It's what's in the backpack that allowed these individuals, how they get into these homes and what allowed, because remember, the people who kidnapped Nancy Guthrie were in the home for 45 minutes, even though she had Nest cameras and security systems. What you'll learn is that what's in the backpack, why the backpacks are so prevalent, is they have signal jammers. Remember in the last video, they have something called signal jammers, which is what allowed them to be inside Nancy Guthrie's home for 45 minutes. They have technical capabilities that block the Nest cameras and even can block local radio.
Been linked to break-in.
Local police radio. So look at this. Same reflector backpack that we've seen in every Tucson video of the Nancy Guthrie neighborhood. The same theft group is operating in Tucson in the Nancy Guthrie neighborhood. This is my evidence. This is my receipts.
At the homes of professional athletes throughout the country.
So they not only are targeting Texas, this is another thing to back up my theory. They have not only committed highline robberies in Texas, but they have committed robberies in Ohio. They even have come so close to rob the mayor of Los Angeles in California, which is very close to Tucson, Arizona. Double tap at the like button.
SU police confirming they're being investigated for crimes in Montgomery and Fort Bend counties, as well as other states. California,
Wisconsin, California, New York. Here is Arizona. So they did a crime here. Tucson is here. So if they came here to do a crime, it is very likely while they travel from California to Texas that they would also hit Tucson. And I have more information about why I think they would hit Tucson. Let's watch this.
California, Florida, Wisconsin, and New York.
Most of these folks, they're pretty intelligent. They're using burner phones. They're using other information that makes it very difficult to follow.
Police arrested this man for a burglary last year. Ignacio Castillo Contreras, a Chilean national. February 2nd, Houston police arrested another Chilean national. Investigators say he used a phony government ID to rent the car they believe was used in the latest burglary. A common denominator in many of the break-ins, the use of ladders to access second-floor doors and windows.
In our home, our second-floor windows are armed, quite frankly, but maybe everybody doesn't do that, and apparently that's what goes on. The thieves target those areas.
Tonight, police urging everyone to outfit their second floors with alarm systems, as well as to lock all doors and windows.
Secure sheds and storage areas.
So they're not talking about the signal jammers in this one. They didn't understand that the reason so the second floor don't got a lot to do with it. The second floor don't got a lot to do with it. It's the signal jammers. It's the signal jammers. The second floor don't got a lot to do with it. It's the signal jammers, right? I want to find that other video. Oh, HBD, here it is. Here it is. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is. We can get the signal jammers, South American theft groups, Perfect Timing Podcast, Nancy Guthrie update, and we're going to go to the 11 weeks that the sheriff been sitting on. The sheriff been sitting on the DNA evidence for 11 weeks, is just now getting the Quantico. The sheriff been sitting on the DNA evidence for 11 weeks, is just now getting the Quantico. Double tap, hit the like button. I mean, what we going to do? I mean, come on, to a certain extent, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, hey, y'all, I'm fighting through it, y'all. I'm fighting through it, y'all. I know y'all see me fighting through it. The real ones see me fighting through it. Somebody is having fun. I've been through this before, man. But I always win, man. All we do is win, win, win. And if you came for MAGA, put your hands in the air, let them stay there. Man, I can't be stopped, man. I can't be stopped, man. This thing keeps happening, man, where some people, man, this lets you know my popularity. The popularity of this channel was going buku bonkers crazy. You can't look at the numbers right now. You got to look at the uphill battle that we fighting, right? You got to look at the demons and the devils and the evil that's being done, man, to stop the growth. And because it's not what you see is what you don't see. A lot of times it's not what you see is what you don't see. Double tap at the like button. This is the video I want to show you guys on the South American theft groups. Double tap at the like button.
One of the masterminds behind a South American burglary ring.
Police say the ring is responsible for more than 60 break-ins across the Houston area and countless more around the country. ABC 13's Luke Jones joins us live with exclusive details, all new at 10. Luke.
Yeah, we learned Patricio Munoz was arrested last month along with his wife. Investigators say together they were calling the shots and even funding many of these break-ins. 7 break-ins in West University Place and more than 60 across the Houston area. Investigators say this man, Patricio Munoz, was one of the major players behind the Chilean burglary ring responsible. January 28th, he and his wife, Tanya Barra, were arrested by HPD's West Side Crime Suppression Team. Together, investigators say Munoz and Barra were funding and directing many of the break-ins. Munoz allegedly selling these jamming devices to a separate Colombian burglary ring. They're used to disrupt home security systems.
They have multiple antennas and radios built into them.
Nigel Nielsen owns the IT firm Ideal Tech. He's familiar with the jamming devices, illegal to own under federal law.
It's sending out a really strong signal to overwhelm the signal of your security cameras, your alarm systems, your cell phones.
What about police radios? Could it interfere with that?
I would suspect so.
Westview police say they found a jamming device on this Chilean burglary suspect during a break-in last year. Altogether, Houston police say they've arrested 20 members of the burglary ring and recovered $4 million worth of stolen property. It's the same crime ring linked to break-ins at the homes of professional athletes in Ohio, Wisconsin, and Kansas. Munoz was previously charged and sentenced in Los Angeles for the 2022 break-in of then Congresswoman Karen Bass's home.
Where's your country origin, man?
Chile.
Chile.
Munoz and his wife were booked into the Harris County Jail last month on charges of tampering with government records. Munoz allegedly caught with a fake Mexican passport and fraudulent car title. His wife, investigators say, had used a fake Argentinian ID to rent an apartment. Days later, Munoz was charged in connection with the October 4th break-in of a home in this gated Royal Oaks neighborhood. Investigators say he broke in through a window after jumping a fence, then pried open a safe and stole 4 watches, each worth thousands of dollars. When police searched his apartment, they say they found watches, jewelry, and other pricey items. In his child's bedroom, pry bars, and a jamming device, potentially damning evidence in a series of crimes spanning across the Houston area and perhaps the country.
And there it is again. There it is again. The reflector Ozark backpack with the jamming device. This is the crux. This is what's missing in everybody's analysis. This is what's missing in everybody's analysis. This is what took place. This is how they were in the house. This is how they were in the house. This is how they were in the house for so long. This is how they were in the house for so long. This is how they were in the house for so long. This is how they were in the house for so long because of the signal jammers. And there's the reflector Ozark backpack. This is how I say I solved the case. What's up, BD, BGP? How you doing? How you feeling? How you living? 5.0, 5.0, 5.0. We doing good. We living good. We looking good. Good to see you in the building, man. Good to see you in the building, man. Another wild Wednesday. All we do is Wednesday. MAGA in the building. And if you came for MAGA, put your hands in the air. Let them stay there. Double tap hit the like button, man. Always good to see you, bro. Always good to see you, bro. Thank you for coming through and supporting, man. In the building. Yeah, man. I in the building. And I grew my shit back. I don't even know if you can see it, man. I let my shit come back a little bit because I had the goatee. So it's coming in. It's coming in pretty good. I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it, coming in pretty good. I'm happy with the progress, you know, man. You know, Leo season is coming up. I said, you know what, I'll usually grow it in the wintertime. But I'm like, something like, I know what it was. I got sick. Remember, I was off for about 2 weeks. I got COVID. And so when I got COVID, I let my beard grow out. And then, so, you know, good to see you, bro. Good to see you, bro. Glad you came through, man. Glad you came through and supported, man. I see it, fam. Keep it, man. Fly, flashy, man. Yeah, man. I like it too, man. I like it too, man. I think I'm going to keep it, man. Thank you for coming through and supporting, man. We just chopping it up on another good Wednesday, man. Another good Wednesday. Enjoying the podcast. This is my brother. Y'all go subscribe, man. This is one of the best gaming YouTube channels on YouTube. Family channel. You can watch his channel with your wife, your kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of my content is adult only content because the politics, you know, I didn't really like when I saw those kids doing the F Trump. You know, children, you know, you got to be a certain age to vote for a reason, right? So a lot of the political stuff I talk about, the crime, is adult content. BD, he has a family channel. They do family game night. I'm a family man. That's why I'm conservative and Republican. I grew up Southern Baptist, you know, Christian conservative, right? I believe in God and family and country, and I love my wife and my children. So that's why I'm associated with a good brother like this, because, you know, me and my family do the family nights, the movie nights, the trivia nights, you know, and he has the video games, and he got the music and just a all-around great channel, man. Tap in, subscribe to his channel. You know, there's a lot of different things out here on YouTube. You know, BD, a lot of people come here to my show and get upset with my content when there's so many other things to watch. You know what I'm saying? There's so many other things to watch, man. And one of my brothers is a great example of a great channel who provides great content for a spectrum of viewers. If you like video games, he got you there. If you're looking for family content, he got you there. If you like music, he got you there. So cultural art, tap in, man. My brother, hit the link. When you see that wrench, this is the powerful thing. You can put your link in the chat, bro. This is the powerful thing about being a moderator, having a membership on the channel, especially if you're a content creator. If you're a content creator and you got a wrench, you can put your link in the chat. Come through, put your link in the chat. If you're a content creator and you're a member, when you come through, you got to buy the membership, though. A lot of people don't want to spend the $5 a month. You know, it's like 25 cents a day. But when you're a member, your name is lit up. So when you come through the chat, everybody see what you got to say. Because a lot of times I see people, they take shit personal because no one is answering them and speaking to them in the chat. Like the host is doing the show, the other people in the chat are having a conversation, and there's always a crybaby who comes in the chat. He's not talking to me. He's not addressing my questions. I'm running the show. You know what I'm saying? So what I always say to those crybabies, man, put it in the super chat or become a member. If you put your question or concern, your rebuttal in the super chat, everyone will see it. Not just me, everyone will see it. If you join the channel and become a member, every time you put something in the chat, it's lit up. So membership has its privileges, man. And thank you, BD, BGP, Big Daddy Beard Gaming Podcast coming through, man. Salute to you, brother. We was just talking about the Nancy Guthrie. Go ahead and get the likes up, you guys. You see I'm just chilling, y'all. You see I'm just chilling. You see I'm not even tripping off the YouTube algorithm. You see what it is. Sometimes this happens with YouTube. I might start playing some music. You know what I'm saying? Because I might just roll me a joint and smoke a joint and start playing some music. Because sometimes the YouTube algorithm just takes this little turn. And I know it has a lot to do with the fact that I had I don't know what it is about StreamYard. I just canceled my StreamYard. Anybody as a content creator, don't pay for StreamYard. I just canceled my StreamYard. I mean, I bought StreamYard. I haven't froze. You guys watch me all. I have not froze. I have not had these glitches where I freeze. And I don't know how long. As soon as I pay for my StreamYard membership, I start glitching. I start freezing. I don't know if it was an old person that used to have a show with me. I don't know if you have access to StreamYard. Like when I buy StreamYard, maybe the trolls can get in. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's something that, and this is the thing about me being old. I'm 50 years old. I don't know how the trolls do what they do. I don't know how the robots do what they do. I don't. So I just get attacked. All I could do was pray and stay steadfast. My wife told me the other day, she said, DFQ. We watched the movie and the movie said DFQ. Can I get DFQ? I'm going to put it myself because I don't have enough supporters here today. I don't know where everybody is. They must be watching a different channel. They cannot be better than me. They cannot be more intelligent with a better fact than me. But everybody's watching a different channel. So I'm going to put DFQ in the chat myself. DFQ, don't fucking quit. Me and my wife was watching the movie, and all my wife said to me is DFQ. And it just made me feel so good because it's obvious something is happening. And it's happened before. It's happened on YouTube. But it don't happen to everybody, but it happened to me. And I know why it's happening to me because I'm chosen. It's happening to me because I'm chosen, but I get these issues where I get attacked. Yeah, man, I get these issues where I get attacked and I just got to go through the attack. It's always after I have a big success. So I had a show on Monday with 250,000 views. And as soon as I get a big success like that, and it happens a lot. If you go on my channel, I got like 30 shows with over 200,000 views. It's not just one episode with over 200,000 views. I have millions of views. I consistently get over hundreds of thousands of views consistently. So I don't know. Someone got upset when I hit that 250,000. I'm at 12,000 subscribers and growing. We're about to hit 12.1 today. Everybody watching right now, if everybody watching right now, hit the like button and subscribe. You can go to my channel right now and see us at 12.1. Yesterday, I was at 12,000. We got 70 people watching. Everybody subscribe right now. You'll be able to, and I like that. I think that's fun to participate in someone's growth and participate in someone's dream. You know what I'm saying? If you like that channel, I like when I hit subscribe and then you see the actual growth. Like he's at 12,000. He said if we all hit subscribe, he's going to go to 12.1. Everybody right now hit the like, share, and subscribe. I'll be at 12.1. We do the same thing tomorrow. I'll be at 12.2. Before you know it, we be at 100,000, right? That's how it works. But it has to be don't quit. I can't quit. Even when it's bad, even when it's hard, even when the robots and the racists and the trolls, I can't quit. Like I have to continue to go through. And that's the example that everybody needs to understand. You know, the purple-haired Democrats, they protest, they throw bricks, they burn up Teslas, they whine, they cry, they quit. Republicans, MAGA, conservatives, someone has to show up to work. And what did the TSA agents do? The TSA agents showed up every fucking day for 40 days and they weren't paid. Anybody talking about the TSA agents right now? Anybody talking about the shutdown? We never really talked about the shutdown. Iran took over the news. Did the Democrats capitulate? Did Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats finally capitulate? We don't know. I can tell you, but people don't show enough interest. Double tap, hit the like button. Everybody watching right now, hit the like button and subscribe. It's absolutely free. It costs you nothing to hit the like button and subscribe. It's absolutely free. You double tap the screen, hit the 3 ellipses, hit the like button, subscribe. It's absolutely free. Support a real channel. Right now, what we're talking about is a very unfortunate event. Nancy Guthrie has been gone for over 75 days. And what we recently learned is that the sheriff have been sitting on DNA evidence for over 11 weeks. It's absolutely criminal. I don't think that's funny. I think that's criminal. The DNA analysis on April 21st, the FBI clarified the DNA evidence currently under review, including a hair sample, is not new. This is sad. The DNA evidence, so a lot of you have been hearing about Nancy Guthrie, brand new DNA evidence. It's not new DNA evidence. That's why this is so triggering today. I lost my grandmother in COVID. how many people lost their grandmother? America has been through a lot of loss. I said there's a mental health issue going on right now. America has been through a lot of loss. I think the loss has a lot to do with all of I think the mental health crisis we're dealing with has a lot to do with the losses that we faced in the last few years, coupled with the addiction crisis, obesity, addiction, the bad food, and the loss of life, man. A lot of us have lost a life. A lot of us have lost a lot, right? So what you have here is that you hear about Nancy Guthrie. She's been missing 76 days, and then everybody got excited because why? We got excited because we heard about DNA evidence and brand new DNA evidence. Come to find out, there's no new DNA evidence. There's old existing DNA evidence that the sheriff sat on for 11 weeks. And I think that's criminal. It says here, including a hair sample. And that, hair and DNA, that could have solved the case right there. It's not new. The agency stated it had requested to test this material 2 months ago. Can you guys believe this? The FBI, Kash Patel, had requested to test this material 2 months ago, but the local Pima County Sheriff's Department, PCSD, instead sent it to a private lab in Florida. You guys remember when we had this whole debate about the FBI taking over the case and the FBI doing the DNA testing and the sheriff insisting that he had it taken control of, but we haven't found anything new since she was missing? And here's another reason why I believe the sheriff is covering it up. He buried, how the terminology, when the terminology of burying in a case, I believe this is the sheriff's attempt to bury the case by letting the DNA sit for 2 months while the world transitioned to talk about Iran and other things. This was his attempt to bury the case. And I think that's criminal. I think he should be held accountable for that. So 2 months ago, the FBI wanted to test this hair sample, but local Pima County Sheriff's Department, PCSD, instead sent it to a private lab in Florida. That lab only recently transferred the sample to the FBI. My question would be, if the sample was at the lab for 2 months, why didn't they get a DNA analysis? Can somebody answer that for me in the chat? If the sample was at the lab in Florida for 2 months, then we should have an analysis, right? Why are we testing it again? And everybody who knows about DNA, like, it's matter. It's physical. If you keep testing it, you can lose it. We've all heard about this before in DNA, even in sexual assault. There's only a little bit of DNA, which means there's only a little bit of matter. There's only a little bit of physical matter. And we use chemicals to test it. And if you use chemicals over 2 months, how much physical matter is left? How much hair is left? How much material is left that has DNA? You understand what I'm saying? You don't, the DNA, number one, the DNA doesn't last forever. It deteriorates. How many people understand this? Huh? The DNA would deteriorate over time. It's been in the lab for 2 months. And then if you continue to test it, you may test it to the point where it's not able to be tested. And thirdly, why don't we have a result? If Florida labs had DNA, a hair sample, and others, so there's multiple DNA samples that were sent to this Florida lab. Why don't we have a result? Why does it now need to go to Quantico? Why didn't it go to Quantico in the beginning 2 months ago upon request? But why does it need to go to Quantico now? Where's the results from the Florida lab? These are legitimate questions. Live in Tucson, they are evil. You know what else I would bring up, Kimberly? You know what else I would bring up, Kimberly, about Tucson that people leave out? Kimberly, can you tell everybody what a snowbird is? Kimberly, can you tell everybody what a snowbird is and why a South American theft group may target a Tucson? Remember, my theory is Nancy was kidnapped by a South American theft group who has signal jammers and who has gangs and networks and online presence. They have an online presence because that's how they stalk their prey. Does anybody know, Kimberly, can you tell our chat and educate the audience on what a snowbird is? Does anybody know they have snowbirds in Arizona? They have snowbirds in Florida. So why would a group of criminals who robbed, and Nancy Guthrie lived in $1 million area. She lived in $1 million area. She's an elderly woman. I'm saying to you, why would a theft group, why would criminals who go into homes be aware of something called a snowbird, and why would they want to frequent a town full of snowbirds? Well, a snowbird is an elderly person, a wealthy, listen to me, a snowbird is a wealthy elderly person who lives in a cold climate. It's not a racial term. A snowbird is an elderly, wealthy person who lives in a cold climate where it snows. When it snows where they live, they fly to their vacation homes in Arizona and Florida, because when they got old, the snow would make their bones and arthritis hurt, but they're wealthy. They're wealthy enough to maintain 2 residents. So they have a vacation home in either Arizona or Florida, and they live half of the year in Arizona. I went to high school in Arizona. Kimberly lives in Tucson. You know what we call them? Because it's dangerous. They come down there in their big cars, they can't see, and they run over the high school kids. We got to get out the street before they run us over. We say, damn, there goes a snowbird. The snowbird almost ran me over today, Dad, on the way home from school. So they are wealthy, elderly, and they live in the Arizona half of the year. What am I telling you? Half of the year they have a house that's empty. Hello? Is anybody listening? Half of the year they have a house that's empty, a big, beautiful, furnished house with flat screens and jewelry and money. Did you guys know that about America? Half of the year they have an empty house with flat screens and furniture. There may be an RV. Half of the year, they have an empty house with flat screens and an RV. So if I'm a cartel, if I'm a South American theft group, and I'm floating to California to do robberies, it makes sense for me to stop in Tucson, where we have snowbirds, elderly, wealthy people who may not even be home for the next 3 months, or may just be elderly who live alone for 3 months. It's the candy land. So when you saw those videos, I said, it's a candy land. When you saw those videos of all those people walking through Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood with multiple backpacks, listen to what I just said, walking. They weren't running. They weren't afraid. They weren't fearing arrest. They weren't fearing that a neighbor would come outside and shoot them. They were walking through Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood with multiple backpacks in a fucking candy land, stealing whatever they want to steal. And no one ever asked, well, why are they so comfortable? Why are they not afraid of being arrested, being chased, being shot? How can you steal in one home, then go to another home, fill up your backpack, and continue to steal? Home to home. Y'all listening? We saw the videos in Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood. I'm telling you, because we have an elderly crisis. These are a neighborhood full of snowbirds. It's a neighborhood full of snowbirds, of elderly, wealthy people. And it's a candy land for criminals. It's a candy land for criminals. They don't have to run. They don't have to be afraid. Nancy Guthrie, 85 years old, she is not the exception. Everybody listen to me. Nancy Guthrie in that $1 million home at 85 years old in that neighborhood is not the exception. She has friends that she goes on walks with. Listen to me. I said Nancy Guthrie at 85 years old in that neighborhood is not the exception. She is the commonality. Everyone in that neighborhood looks like Nancy Guthrie. They go on walks together. The neighborhood is designed. If you live in Arizona, you understand that Arizona leans toward this economy. They create shops and homes and neighborhoods for the snowbird. In Arizona, when I lived there, we depend on them coming there. We depend on their money. Arizona and Florida depends on that money. We depend on those people coming here and living here 6 months out the year. That's part of the economy, which is why I believe the sheriff had to bury the story, because I believe elderly people won't go back to Arizona if they start to believe Arizona is not safe. If Tucson is not safe, but see, there's a lot you don't know about. See, there's a lot you don't know about. If you don't know about the snowbirds, if you don't know about the economy of Arizona and Tucson and Florida, and how the economies depend on these elderly people, then you might, because when I say the sheriff buried the story, I know you're like, yeah, the YouTuber, they just make stuff up. You got to ask, why would the sheriff bury? That's a legitimate question. That's a legitimate question for you to ask me. That's legitimate for you to say, why would the sheriff bury the story? I'm giving you the why. I'm giving you the why. We need those elderly people to feel comfortable coming here and leaving their homes 6 months out the year. If they believe that there are South American theft groups frequenting homes, Arizona could go bankrupt. Y'all, I don't think you understand how much they depend on this, how much the Florida economy, the Arizona economy is built on this. One of my favorite comedians is Kathy Madigan. She talks about her parents going to Florida every year and living in this senior community. Kathy Madigan, one of my favorite comedians, her parents live in St. Louis in the Midwest. It snows in the Midwest. But her dad was a lawyer. Her dad is a wealthy elderly man at 80 years old, still very wealthy. He was a lawyer. He owned his own law firm. So Kathy Madigan talks about her father, who was a wealthy lawyer who owned his own law firm. Him and his wife would drive every year when they retired, since 65 to 80 years old, so 20 years. They would drive to Florida. They owned a home in Florida in a senior citizen city where they had their own post office, they had their own police officers, and Kathy Madigan's father was a politician. So Florida depends on these people. The economy in Florida is cruxed upon these people. The economy in Arizona depends on these people. You guys don't understand that. This is why a sheriff might want to cover up what happened to Nancy. This is why a sheriff might want to come up. Kimberly, would you please stop with the all caps? I love you. Thank you for your support. Please stop with the all caps, please. I love, keep up with the comments, keep participating. But can you just please with the all caps? I thank you, love you. So let's go back to the details. Increased patrol. So they've been sitting on it for 2 months. Law enforcement has increased patrols in Nancy's Catalina Foothills neighborhood. The response follows complaints from residents about social media influencers. So the only reason you have more police in the neighborhood is because of social media influencers, right? Which is very sad. Very sad. Very sad.
Another breaking news update on the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Here's your Nancy Benet Ramsey update, okay? According to Brian Enton, some DNA evidence found at Nancy's house is now going to the FBI's lab on day 75. 75 days, and we're just now getting the DNA from Nancy's house and sending it to the FBI's lab. Oh, because that's right. Sheriff Nanos turned up nothing when he tried to send the DNA to his lab out in Florida.
Haters are going to hate.
So now we're trusting the FBI 75 days in. That I'm sure will lead to something. And mind you, this can't be new evidence. It has to be evidence that was collected back in February, because remember, the pool boy was there and the landscaper was there, and we were seeing Tomasa marching through the woods in her yard. So this is not new evidence. This is, and it's hair. That's what they found. They found hair at Nancy Guthrie's home. And so that's the latest update, is that this strand of hair turned up nothing at Sheriff Nanos's lab. So now we're going to let the FBI run the hair to hopefully find some DNA that could maybe lead back to Nancy. 75 days later. I can't believe we're even in this 75. Like, what? The fact that this is the update and this is considered breaking news all these days later, we're going on month 3, and this is where we're at. But as promised, I'm here to give you the Nancy Benet Ramsey updates. That is where we're at. Savannah returned to the Today Show. So if you were, wondering if she went missing, she did not, even though she did go missing from her interview with Anne Hathaway yesterday. So yeah, there we go. I'm sure we'll have more important updates soon. I'm confident that this is going to be the breaking piece that just blows the case wide open.
So what he didn't, so that's the background, but what he didn't, what I'm giving you the context around that, basically. We are giving you the context around what he's saying. What he's saying is day 75, 76, DNA is going to Quantico. It's not new DNA. It's multiple samples. It's hair and other DNA. Now, let me, I've done my research, so let's just do a little background, let you know what's going on. They found multiple DNA. So they found the gloves. Does anybody been following the case? Let's bring everybody up to speed. They found the gloves like a mile away. Now, remember, I told you, and then Kimberly put in the chat also, Kimberly, do you watch my show? Shout out to you, Kimberly, because I talked about this earlier, that Tucson is an hour away from Nogales, separated by Highway 19. So they found the gloves, and they never say where and what direction. When you say you found the gloves a mile away, was that on the way to Interstate 19? I believe they found the gloves on the way to Interstate 19, which would have brought them to Nogales within an hour. They would have been in Mexico in an hour. They would have been in Mexico in an hour. So they found the gloves. Remember the gloves from the video. They found the gloves. They found the gloves, right? That's one DNA. Then they said there was DNA on the porch. And then they said there was DNA in the house, including blood. But listen to this. Everybody listen to this. This is what got me upset. And this is why the sheriff should be held accountable and prosecuted and maybe go to prison. This is what I learned from the initial DNA samples. The DNA on the glove, and this is why we know it was more than one person. Now look at this. Let me show you. This is the South American theft groups. This is South American theft groups that were caught in Texas, but they operate in Florida, California, and I believe Arizona, Florida. They got the snowbirds there too. But if you look at this picture, you'll see this is Texas, even though it looks like Tucson. Why does it look like Tucson? Because they're at the door and they have the reflector Ozark backpack, but this is Texas. And you might say to yourself, damn, this looks like the video from Tucson, because we saw all those videos in Tucson with guys dressed like this with these same backpacks, but this is Texas. What's in the backpack? A signal jammer. Nancy Guthrie had a Nest camera. She had home security, and they were in the house for 45 minutes. How did they do that? I'm telling you, it was a South American theft group with the backpack and the signal jammer. But let's get back to the DNA. You got 3 sources of DNA. Now, what was disturbing was the DNA from the gloves did not match the DNA from the porch. The DNA from the porch and the gloves don't match the DNA in the house. So we have 3 separate sources of DNA. Do you guys know that? The DNA on the gloves is not the same DNA that they found in the house. The DNA on the gloves is not the same as on the porch. This is why I said from the beginning, when I look at this picture, when I say South American theft groups, when we saw the other video of a shadow, remember the video that came out from the online YouTubers that they enhanced that video in front of Nancy Guthrie house, and they saw another person by a car with the trunk open? Who saw the video enhanced from Nancy Guthrie where it was more than one person? There was another person in the dark in a car with the trunk open. They had been to the house more than once. All this came out later. They had been to the house more than once. And on the night, remember, there were 2 videos. This came out later, where the first video where he came to the house, he didn't have on the backpack with the signal jammer. He didn't have on he didn't have the gun. Then he came back to the house days later with the gun, with the backpack, with the gloves. Remember, they went to the house more than once. That's how you know it wasn't lucky. It wasn't a robbery. It wasn't an accident. That the South American theft groups plan these things out. It's not a robbery. It's not an accident. The South American theft groups follow you online. So what we learned today is that those gloves, the DNA on the porch, the DNA in the house, we have no results after 2 months. How do you feel about that? We have no results. You and I all know that they recovered DNA. They found the black gloves. The DNA went to a lab in Florida for 2 months. We have nothing. We're starting over from the beginning. Do you guys understand what I'm telling you today? The DNA from the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping, we have nothing. We're starting from the beginning. Now, let me add one more thing, because in the video I played, he talked about the pool boy. Now, the sheriff refused to let Quantico test the DNA, but what else did the sheriff do? The sheriff let the pool cleaner into the home the next day. The pool cleaner has chemicals that can destroy DNA. You know what I learned when I did my research? Guess what the FBI has to do now? And this is when, as a person who loves elderly people, guess what the FBI has to do now? The FBI has to test the pool cleaners. The FBI has to test the pool cleaners. This is going to take even more time. This is going to take even more time to find out what happened. Because now it's not just the DNA. It's not just the brother-in-law. Now the FBI has to test, the pool cleaners have to be called back in, and they have to take DNA samples from the pool cleaners just to find out, because they have to be able now to distinguish, because they were in the house a day after the fucking kidnapping. So now we're not just testing the DNA from the kidnapping and Nancy Guthrie, we got to test the pool cleaners too, to rule them out. Because if there's a prosecution, if it is Thomas Cole, if it is the son-in-law, he could get off. Is anybody listening? Is this motherfucker? I said if it is Thomas Cole, if it is the son-in-law, he could get off. He could get off. Yeah. Yeah. The sheriff. Thank you, sheriff. Thank you, sheriff. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Thank you, sheriff. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The sheriff, I think he should be prosecuted, bro. The sheriff should be prosecuted, and I've explained to you why I believe he hid the story. I believe the sheriff is on the take. But in my research, there's multiple cartels that operate in Tucson, because there's multiple cartels that operate in Arizona. There's multiple cartels that operate in Tucson. I don't think we understand what's going on in some of these border towns. Right? I don't think we understand what's going on.
The search for Nancy Guthrie. We're learning the FBI is using some new enhanced technology to analyze DNA.
Double tap at the like button, y'all.
DNA evidence. New details on the search for Nancy Guthrie. We're learning the FBI is using some new enhanced technology to analyze DNA evidence from her home in Tucson. That's according to Fox News Digital, which reports the collected DNA includes hair. The feds believe this could bring them closer to identifying her kidnapper. The mother of Today's Show host, Savannah Guthrie, was reported missing February 1st.
I think they should investigate the sheriff, bro. I think they should investigate the sheriff, straight up. I'm with you on that. That's why I keep saying that. I think they should investigate the sheriff. I'm with you on that 1,000%. I think they should investigate the sheriff. and find out why he sought to bury this case and uncover what is going on in our American cities on the border post Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Like, this is such a big deal, bro. This is such a big deal that what is going on in American cities on the border post 10 million people coming into the country, some of them from Venezuela. The reports were 8 million. They said Venezuela opened up their jails. That's why I know about TDA. This is why you know about Treta de Agua. We killed El Mancho. This is why I'm bringing up the new generation Jalisco cartel, because when they killed El Mancho, the violence spilled over. They were in Puerto Vallarta. They were on the border fighting, the border of Mexico and America. The violence spilled over. So I don't understand why people don't understand that there is spillage. There is spillover. Where do you think all those millions of people went? Some of them stayed on the border and are continuing to operate in both Mexico and America because it's beneficial. Biden opened the border. Biden told the border agents to stand down. These individuals, some of them criminal in nature, were able to go back and forth for years. You know what they were able to do while going back and forth for years? Establish networks. What's up to you, coconuts are real? They were able to establish these networks that would allow them to get Nancy Guthrie out of the country in minutes. Let me show you again my theory on the South American theft groups, and pay attention to the technology that they use, because what everybody is, a lot of intelligent people watching. So a lot of you already know about how long Nancy Guthrie, how long they were in the house. We just talked about the 3 separate DNA, the DNA from the gloves, the DNA on the porch, the DNA in the house. And what I found out, and then we talked about Nancy Guthrie's heart and pacemaker being connected to the technology in the house. And we know how far and when she left the house because of the pacemaker's technology. Double tap at the like button, get the likes up, not enough likes. Do you guys understand how we know how long they were in the house? It's because Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker technology. So from that, we were able to deduce they were in the home for 45 minutes. So you see, we know what time they got there because it's on the camera. Is everybody checking with me? We know what time they got there because it's on the camera, right? We know what time they got there because it's on the camera. Double tap, hit the like button as you come in, everybody. Thank y'all for coming in and watching the #1 podcast on YouTube. We're talking about a Nancy Guthrie update, and we're going to be talking about Donald Trump in a minute. We know how long they were there because on the camera, it says what time they got there. And then we know what time they left because of Nancy Guthrie's pacemakers. It was a very high-tech pacemaker connected to technology in the house. And when it like your phone, when it left its home, it gave a time stamp. So that's how we know how long they were in the house. And they were in the house 45 minutes, despite Nancy Guthrie having security. How did they do that? Watch this.
Police say the ring is responsible for more than 60 break-ins across the Houston area and countless more around the country. ABC 13's Luke Jones joins us live with exclusive details, all new at 10. Luke.
Yeah, we learned Patricio Munoz was arrested last month along with his wife. Investigators say together they were calling the shots and even funding many of these break-ins. 7 break-ins in West University Place and more than 60 across the Houston area. Investigators say this man, Patricio Munoz, was one of the major players behind the Chilean burglary ring responsible. January 28th, he and his wife, Tanya Barra, were arrested by HPD's West Side Crime Suppression Team. Together, investigators say Munoz and Barra were funding and directing many of the break-ins. Munoz allegedly selling these jamming devices to a separate Colombian burglary ring.
So everybody pay attention. Everybody pay attention. Do you know how you need to be concerned for your grandmother right now? Do you know you need to be concerned for your home right now? Because a lot of people don't actively listen. How many people put active listening in the chat? Somebody put hashtag active listening. What did he just say? He said there's a Chilean theft group and that He doesn't even go on every robbery. He funds some of the robberies. So if he knew if they were going to kidnap an 85-year-old woman, he might have said no. But see, he got people, young people in the streets doing crime for him. So what you need to understand is they're a Chilean theft group, not Mexico, not Venezuela. See, thank you, Biden. Thank you. Come on. This is what happened when you open the fucking border. And people keep thinking it's about Mexican Americans and fucking no kings. It is not about Mexican Americans, you guys. Wake the fuck up. We got people from Yemen driving trucks and Uber. We got people from China taking your job, driving trucks, driving Uber. Come on, y'all. In my city, there are no more Uber jobs. Their teenagers can't be Uber drivers because all of the immigrants who are not Mexican have all the Uber jobs. And you want us to be mad and think Trump is going after Latinos. It's not about fucking Latinos. There's a Chilean theft group of up to 20 to 30, and he was selling signal jammers to a Colombian theft group of 20 to 30. Do you guys understand what the fuck I'm saying? I'm saying there's two separate, deep, highly technical and capable theft organization rings, not from Mexico, like Trump said, with a different cultural background, with a different criminal culturally, like the Somalian. Trump said the Somalians have a different cultural, a different criminal because of a different. When we say Chilean and Colombian, these are people with machetes who kidnap. This is different culturally. Listen again. We're not talking about one theft group. We're talking about two separate theft groups, one from Chile, one from Colombia. And they're only operating in here post-2022, post-Biden. They would never be here like this if it wasn't for Biden and double tap.
Were funding and directing many of the break-ins. Munoz allegedly selling these jamming devices to a separate Colombian burglary ring.
Selling these devices to a separate Colombian burglary ring. How did they get into Nancy Guthrie's home and stay there for 45 minutes? I called TMZ. Everybody watching, I called TMZ. I called the FBI. Everybody watching, you can call TMZ right now. You can call the FBI. You can say, hey, I watched this guy called Perfect Timing Podcast on YouTube. He solved the Nancy Guthrie case. He said it's the South American theft groups. And I believe him, and I believe we get this information out there because it's so many of these theft groups. He said there's one from Chile and there's one from Colombia, and they both are about 30 to 50 people, and they robbed 60 homes, including NBA people and the mayor of Los Angeles. FBI, will you please look into this? Maybe they took Nancy Guthrie. I called the FBI. I called TMZ. I called the hotlines. No one is listening to me. Just so you guys understand, I did my due diligence. I'm not just telling you this. I called the FBI. You right now watching, you can call the FBI. You could take credit. You can lie and say, oh, I came up with this theory. You don't have to tell them Perfect Timing Podcast. It's a lot of racists that watch me. But hopefully the grandmother gets found, and hopefully we can protect the American people from what is happening and what's going to happen, because this is not a joke. This is not a joke. This is the only theory that speaks to every bullet point in the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping. How did they get there? How did they find out? How did they stay there so long? How did they get away? And there's another piece that I haven't brought up, is the digital footprint. How were they able to send emails to TMZ and the FBI not track the IP address? It's because they're not from America. They're not from America. Why can the FBI not trace the IP and find the person who sent the emails to TMZ? Why can't they trace the crypto wallet? They have the capability. The FBI got secret shit. The FBI got some secret shit. They could find out. Why is it that they haven't been able to find where the emails were sent? Why isn't they haven't been able to track down the crypto wallet? Because it's like the Africans who fish in your grandmother's email and they take all your grandmother's money, and no one ever knows who did it in Africa. But we all know that Africans do something called fishing. It may not just be Africans. It could be people in South America who also do fishing, because the FBI has been unable to track down the digital footprint. And I work in IT. I'm a content creator. As soon as I said, wait a minute, they said multiple emails to TMZ, they caught. You can't just send emails to TMZ. They caught. The FBI got some secret DARPA shit. They can track down where that email came from. They caught. The FBI hasn't been able to track down the digital footprint. I said, oh, okay. If the FBI hasn't been able to track down the digital footprint, this is just like those foreigners who do the phishing in our emails. And they send a letter to your grandmother and say, I need help. And your grandmother sends them money, and then we can't get the money back, and we don't know what happened. And the FBI doesn't. And the FBI just tell Americans, don't respond to these emails, these phishing emails. We got to tell our grandparents, all the elderly people in your family. I'm sure you've talked, any young people with elderly people with wealth, I'm sure you've warned your grandmother about the phishing. And some of our elderly people are not dumb. They are smart. They know about the Africans and the phishing, and they avoid those emails. So that's another aspect to this, is their inability to track the digital footprint. Not just these signal jammers, but the digital footprint.
Burglary ring. They're used to disrupt home security systems.
They have multiple antennas and radios built into them.
Nigel Nielsen owns the IT firm Ideal Tech. He's familiar with the jamming devices, illegal to own under federal law.
It's sending out a really strong signal to overwhelm the signal of your security cameras, your alarm systems, your cell phones.
What about police radios? Could it interfere with that?
I would suspect so.
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all? This is the only explanation that can solve the Nancy Guthrie. Do you understand the capabilities of these signal jammers? Listen to what he just said and what the signal jammer can do. Listen what he said, what the signal jammer can do. And then this is it. This is why I say I solved the case. This is why I say I solved the case. This is it. There's no other explanation as to how it happened.
These systems.
They have multiple antennas and radios built into them.
Nigel Nielsen owns the IT firm Ideal Tech. He's familiar with the jamming devices, illegal to own under federal law.
It's sending out a really strong signal to overwhelm the signal of your security cameras, your alarm systems, your cell phones.
What about police radios? Could it interfere with that?
I would suspect so.
Westview Police.
So Nancy's cell phone, she had Nest cameras, so it jammed her cell phone, the Nest cameras, and police. Did you guys even know shit like this existed? How many people knew shit like this even existed, bro? When they sell you your Nest security system, they should be telling you about these South American theft groups and these signal jammers. How many of you knew that criminals had this level of technicality?
And owns the IT firm Ideal Tech. He's familiar with the jamming devices, illegal to own under federal law.
It's sending out a really strong signal to overwhelm the signal of your security cameras, your alarm systems, your cell phones.
Your security cameras, your alarm systems, and your cell phones. There's nothing else that explains what happened to Nancy. Bro, I'm telling you, there's nothing else that explains what happened to Nancy and how they were in the house for 45 minutes, bro. There's nothing you could tell me that could tell me how they got in the house and stayed in the house and did what they did. This is the only explanation. It was a South American theft group or someone connected to them who had a signal jammer. And remember, when he came to the door, he had...
What about police radios? Could it interfere with that?
I would suspect so.
Westview police say they found a jamming device on this Chilean burglary suspect during a break-in last year. Altogether, Houston police say they've arrested 20 members of the burglary ring and recovered $4 million worth of stolen property. It's the same crime ring linked to break-ins at the homes of professional athletes in Ohio, Wisconsin, and Kansas.
Now take a look. This is how proficient they are. They've been caught in Wisconsin, Ohio, Kansas, Florida, and California. So they're operating in multiple states, which makes sense because Biden and Kamala Harris, isn't these all sanctuary states, Democratic enclaves? Pay attention, you guys.
Munoz was previously charged as sentenced in Los Angeles for the 2022 break-in of then Congresswoman Karen Bass's home.
And this shows their ability to go after high-profile targets. I'm telling you guys, I have every answer with my theory. My theory is the only theory that answers, because if you're a crime analysis and you listen to me, you say, okay, everything you said sounds good, but what about the fact that Nancy Guthrie was famous? This right here is my evidence that Nancy Guthrie was not their first high-profile client. They went after NBA basketball players and even the mayor of Los Angeles. They are prone and they are known to go after high-profile, highly visible celebrities, well-known people. That factors in so much, you guys, because Nancy Guthrie and Savannah Guthrie, they knew it would be on news. They knew it would be national news and on the television. So when you do an FBI analysis, a criminal analysis, I'm addressing everything that we know so far. And one of the things you would have to address is these criminals kidnapped a celebrity. How does your theory speak to whether or not they've done that before, had the proclivity and the knowledge and the ability to pull that off? Here it is. Here it is. So I give you the signal jammers. I give you the reflective Ozark backpacks. And I also give you celebrity clients. There's no other theory that covers all the bases. There's no other theory that covers all the bases.
Where's your country origin, man?
Chile.
Chile. Munoz and his wife were booked into the Harris County Jail last month on charges of tampering with government records. Munoz allegedly caught with a fake Mexican passport and fraudulent car title. His wife, investigators say, had used a fake Argentinian ID to rent an apartment. Days later, Munoz was charged in connection with the October 4th break-in of a home in this gated Royal Oaks neighborhood. Investigators say he broke in through a window after jumping a fence, then pried open a safe and stole 4 watches, each worth thousands of dollars. When police searched his apartment, they say they found watches, jewelry, and other pricey items. In his child's bedroom, pry bars, and
another thing is they go after millions. Another thing that an FBI analysis would say, okay, perfect, your idea, your theory is good. So you covered at the basis of a celebrity, but what about the ransom, the $6 million ransom? And they go after millions. This is not so one of the things that would disqualify my theory, if an FBI analysis came back and said, yeah, it sounds good, but the people you're talking about, they just steal like $20. They steal $100 and they go buy Coke. No, the South American theft groups I'm talking about are known for stealing $4 to $6 million. My theory is the only theory that covers everything. The $6 million ransom. It's not their first time. They're not new to asking for millions of dollars. They're not new to stealing millions of dollars. They're not new to kidnapping. My theory is the only theory that fits every bullet point. Every bullet point that you could think of, the $6 million ransom, how long they stayed in the home, the stalking of the actual person, the getaway, the digital footprint. The only theory that covers every aspect of what happened is my theory of the South American theft group. Now, look at this backpack.
a jamming device, potentially damning evidence in a series of crimes spanning across the Houston area and perhaps the country. Luke Jones.
And this is the coffin nail. This is the coffin nail. So you can listen to my theory. You can say, you know what? It sounds great. Signal jammer, South American theft group, $1 million digital footprint, but this is the coffin nail. This is my coffin nail, because one thing, a lot of people may not get the signal jammers and all of that, but you know what everybody saw? What did everybody see that you see in this? Everybody saw the Ozark backpack on multiple criminals in the Nancy Guthrie. The Ozark backpack with reflectors. Here it is, the Ozark backpack with reflectors. The Ozark backpack with reflectors. We saw it on multiple assailants walking around, stealing shop stealing. The guy who kidnapped Nancy Guthrie had one. The guy we saw walking. Remember, we got the guy walking a mile away. The other criminal at the other house in the same neighborhood. They all had these Ozark backpacks. You know, after I did my show, they said they were going to go back to Walmart. This is what I said. I said, you guys need to go to Walmart and find out where these backpacks have been stolen from. Guess what the FBI, this is what the police said. They're going to go check the receipts. I said in the South American theft group video, you saw what they were doing, how they were getting cars. Why would they buy the backpack? This is why sometimes it takes a crook. Why would they buy the backpack? I used to be a piece of shit. I need to tell the FBI and the police they're not buying the backpacks. They are stealing the backpacks. There's no way I would go on camera and purchase the backpack I'm going to go steal with. What I said to my audience is, this is a scenario. Hey, homie, what's going on, homie? I need some money. Meet me at 1 o'clock in Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood. Meet me at 1 o'clock in the South Hills. Okay, homie. Well, before you meet me, 1 o'clock in the morning, I need you to go to Walmart. There's a Walmart right by South Hills. Go to the South Hills Walmart, steal an Ozark backpack. Why, homie? Don't worry about it, Holmes. Just go steal the backpack. Meet me in South Hills at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm going to get you some money, homie. And then they walk through a neighborhood full of snowbirds, elderly, wealthy people, and they take what they want. They stole the backpack. So I said, you need to go to Walmart, find out which Walmart has been, because they know, find out which Walmart has had an issue with theft of these type of backpacks in the area. It's not hard to do. You the FBI. It's not hard to do. Won't because they fight back, let more people to be. I know they don't want to let people like us be police. Y'all need to find out where the backpack's being stolen from, and then look at the camera and see who's been stealing the backpack. But also, I want to share to everybody looking, this is not Tucson you're looking at. Everybody watching right now, hit the like button. This is not Tucson. Everybody watching right now, double tap, hit the like button, share, subscribe, join and become a member. If you support the channel, if you support Nancy Guthrie being found, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the super chat. I don't have one super chat today. Hit the like button, and when you subscribe, you're going to get a plus sign. Hit the plus sign, become a member. You could be a member of my channel for less than $5 a month. That's 25 cents a day to support the channel and support the effort that we do here. And I promise you, we go live every day at 1 p.m. There's no better channel on YouTube. This is the #1 channel for geopolitical debate and domestic discussions. It's called The Perfect Timing Podcast. My name is Perfect. I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative, and I support Trump. Double tap, hit the like button. Double tap, hit the like button. And we starting off our coverage today. If you look at the title, if you look at the banner, Trump ceasefire ends now, the Red Alliance strike unleashed. But we starting off with the Nancy Guthrie update because I've done multiple shows on Nancy Guthrie, and I heard about the DNA. I heard about the new DNA, and what we learned today is that the DNA is not new. What we learned today is the DNA is not new. They said new DNA. Excuse me, I'll get a drink of water. I'll be telling my wife, you know, the podcast, people don't understand the podcast game. I'll be podding for like a couple hours, no water break, no bathroom break, straight fire, rapid fire at the camera the whole time, information the whole time, heat and entertainment. I'm telling you, there's no other place I would subscribe to, especially if you watch YouTube and you judge the content creator and their abilities. There's no other place I would subscribe to or become a member or donate and be like, add money, add support. I mean, this guy comes on every day at 1 p.m. with straight fire, straight information, straight entertaining the whole time. Like, where else would you support? You know what I'm saying? Oh, man, that's that good ice water. That's that good ice water. Oh, you know what that remind me of? We talking about Nancy Guthrie. I was talking about Trump and the ceasefire. A lot of people think Iran is winning. Iran isn't winning. Iran is withering away on the vine like Cuba. And Trump was right about what he said. You know what I found when I did my research about Iran and the blockade? So the ceasefire, Trump extended the ceasefire, but we still got the blockade on the Straits of Hormuz. You know what I found? So Trump is saying, I reported they were losing $400 million a day. Trump said they're losing $500 million a day. I said the same thing is happening in Cuba, right? Please tell me how Iran is winning. I would love to have that discussion with you. By what metric? By what metric do you measure Iran is winning? Let's have a discussion, because I've been doing my research. I've been covering this. Like I said, we're pro-conservative. We're pro-America. We're MAGA. And if you came for MAGA, put your hands in the air. Let them stay there. All we do is win, win, win. And if you came for MAGA, put your hands in the air. Let them stay there. It's all we do is win Wednesday, baby. It's all we do is win Wednesday. If you came for MAGA, let me know. If you came for MAGA, let me know. All we do is win Wednesday. Please, by what metric? Because I've done my research. We've destroyed their Navy. We've destroyed their Air Force. We've destroyed the leadership. And I said, how long would it take? So I heard today some people who were pro-Iran saying it could take America 3 years to build back the missiles. Because people keep saying we don't have enough missiles. America don't have enough missiles. America is short on missiles. Okay, let's take the haters' estimate. The haters said America would take 3 years to get back the missiles. Now, we've destroyed all of their planes, trains, automobiles. America maybe lost 3 planes so far. I'm going to keep going. We may have lost 3 planes so far. So how much have they lost? And how long will it take Iran to build back what they lost? It would take Iran 10 to 15 years to build back the airplanes. We destroyed all of their submarines to build back the submarines, to build back the naval ships. But it would take them 10 to 15 years if they had the money. And the money comes from the Straits of Hormuz. But if we close the Straits of Hormuz, how long and can they rebuild? No, they can't rebuild, which is why we're keeping the straits closed. The same thing is happening in Cuba. We went to Venezuela first. Venezuela shut down Cuba. We don't even have to put boots on the ground in Cuba, and we're going to get regime change in Cuba. People are saying regime change is not going to happen in Iran, but we don't even have to put boots down in Cuba. Cuba has been without power for 3 months since January. Ever since we took Maduro, Cuba has been without power, and Marco Rubio has been in back channel talks to Cuba. Cuba is going to fall without 1 boot on the ground because they have been without power for 3 months. Iran is losing $500 million a day. And I'm going to show you a video where they are basically, so they said people are going to start starving, not Americans. California, and I don't mean to sound cruel. But not Americans. California grows the world's greens, 80 to 90%. Remember when the E. coli broke out? That has a lot to do with the immigrant crime in Stockton and California. But the E. coli broke out globally because everybody buys greens from California, fourth largest economy in the world. America is solvent. We have enough oil. We have enough gold. We have enough food. There will be no lines for food in America. You can't even give a homeless person food in America today. If you try to give a homeless person a cheeseburger, he'll throw it back at your car. You go to McDonald's and you get 2 for $5 and you eat a McDonald's hamburger and that shit didn't taste like you dreamed about it, like when you was a kid, and they make your stomach turn and hurt and you say, fuck, why did I eat this McDonald's hamburger? And you got 1 left in the bag and it starts stinking and you say, let me get this McDonald's hamburger to this homeless person right here. And he throw that motherfucker back in your face. You can't even give homeless people food in America. But Iran, did you guys hear about the bread lines in Iran? Did anybody hear about the bread lines that Iran is like Cuba, withering on the vine.
Official rates are a fraction of this, 55,000 and 76,000 riyals respectively. Now this gap is a canyon. It represents a system where the official reality and the lived reality no longer speak the same language.
Say it, girl.
So when a basic staple triples in price overnight, it is not just inflation, it is an emotional assault on the household. The irony of this crisis is etched into the calendar. Only 2 days ago, Iran marked National Wheat and Bread Day. Historically, this was a day of wheat celebrations, a legacy of the early 2000s when the country proudly declared itself self-sufficient in grain. But as we stand in April 2026, that self-sufficiency is revealed as a fragile mirage. Despite official rhetoric, the math tells a different story. In the 10 months leading up to Feb, Iran was forced to import approximately 2.75 million tons of wheat, valued at nearly $1 billion. The geopolitical landscape.
Y'all here in the middle of, see, you gotta get different sources. She is telling you that even 10 months before we invaded, going back to the 12-day war, Iran had food crisis and wheat crisis and inflation crisis, which is why the people were protesting, similar to 1979, because I agree, when the MI6 and the CIA installed the Dirty Shah in 53, that caused, again, hyperinflation, which led to the election of the Ayatollah Khomeini in 1979. They are back experiencing hyperinflation under the IRGC, not just today, but months and years leading up to this crisis. The people were starving. Let me read it to you. I'm going to go back to the video. Let me read it to you. As of late April 2026, Iran is experiencing a severe bread crisis characterized by long queues, rationing, and soaring prices. Following severe economic pressure and regional conflict, bread and cereal inflation hit 140%, forcing households to wait in line for subsidized bread. I don't know what news media you're listening to. I don't know if you're watching Candace Owens. I don't know if you're watching Tucker Carlson, but they don't love America, and they are lying to you through their fucking teeth. Iran is winning. Iran is strong. They not winning shit. They not strong as shit. The soldiers have not been paid. Trump is not lying. If they don't have bread, let them eat cake. Did somebody say let them eat cake? If they don't have bread, the soldiers are in line. Let's just be honest. The soldiers' wives are in line for bread and cereal. If they don't have bread, the soldiers are not being paid. This shit is crumbling. This shit is crumbling. This shit is crumbling. And it didn't just happen today. Y'all listening to Tucker Carlson and people who don't love America. People who want the Democratic technocrats to be back in power so they can oppress men and fathers and God and Christianity and have transvestites talking to our kids in the fucking books and in the library so California can have secret conversations with your child about being gay. Trump shut that shit down. Trump shut down Title IX. Trump is the greatest president of our fucking lifetime. Y'all sleep if you don't understand what this shit about. This is a power fight between good and evil. Them motherfuckers want to be back in power so they can put the trans back in the fucking libraries. So they can have a conversation with my son and say, if I don't accept his transition, then you can put me in jail. That's what California was doing. They had conversations with kindergartners. They had conversations legally mandated. A teacher ain't even trained to have these goddamn conversations. California, Gavin Newsom had a legal mandate to have 3 conversations with our children in elementary school, and each of them will incrementally get worse and more sophisticated on the questions. about sex, not about algebra, not about 5 times 5 is 25. No, it was about which penis, which pussy, which this. And this is the questions you asking our children secretly, legally, legislated. And then Gavin Newsom wants to be president and take that shit nationwide. Double tap at the like button. Those are the people saying Iran is winning. Those are the people saying Iran is winning. Those are the people saying Iran is winning. And you sleep. You want to give it back. You want to give it back to Tampon Tim. You want to give it back to people who want to put tampons in the boys' bathroom. Why? It's bullying. It's bullying young men. You want to give it back to people who would have Title IX, who want young men off of college campuses. But this is why I love Charlie Kirk. Because I want young men to go back to church. I want young men to go back to college. I want young men to go back to church. I want young men to go back to college. That's why I love Trump. Y'all don't know about Title IX. You don't even know about the fucking JPCOA. You think Obama made a good deal. I hear so many TikTokers talk about we were in a deal. We had a deal with you know what I put in the chat? Everybody watch it right now. Go to TikTok. Next time they have a debate and put in the chat, just name the deal. They don't know what the name of the deal. They can't name the JPCO. They don't know what the deal is. They just have heard talking points. You know what I told my chat? I said in 2021, Biden failed in Vienna. I said in 2021, Biden failed in Vienna to get another agreement in peace talks. And we never talk about it. I said the EU was the ones who were at the table negotiating on behalf of the Americans. Do you know that Macron and them is working behind our back, and Macron just sent money to Iran? Macron just sent money to Iran, despite us being in a current conflict. Y'all don't know shit about NATO and geopolitics. Let's go back to the video. They telling you Iran, and he hasn't been able to answer the question. I asked him to tell me, can you measure why Iran is winning? And as soon as I start talking my shit, they get quiet. They be amazed on how much knowledge a brother possess. And then I'm starting to present information about the bread lines and the starvation. How many of you, has Tucker Carlson told you about the starvation in Iran? Has Candace Owens told you about the starvation in Iran? Has anybody who has been negative of Trump in America been honest with you about what is happening on the ground? They want you to believe in some fairy tale. Pete Hegseth said, we only have 10% of our Navy. Do you know what else? Hey, James. Hey, James, you know what else we could laugh about? James, you know what else we could laugh about? Guess what Trump did? Guess what Trump did? James, do you know I listed for everybody how and why we're able to be in command? We have 10,000 troops there, 100 airplanes, 2 aircraft carriers. James, I told them about the UUVs because they keep hearing about these bombs on the bottom of the ocean, but no one is telling them about the UUVs, the unmanned underwater submarine drones that we got, motherfucker. The unmanned underwater submarine drones that we have in the water, in the straits. No one's talking about that. They want to talk about these $1,000 bombs. But you know what Trump just did? Let me look it up right now. So we have 10,000, but who just got there? Who just got there? Because I just heard that while he said there is deploying over 10,000 additional troops to the Middle East, including the USS George H.W. Bush carrier and the 11th Marine Expedition Unit. These forces join roughly 50,000 personnel already in the region amid escalating tensions, ongoing operations against Iran. So we already talked about the 10,000, but while everybody was sleeping, remember I said my next expose was going to be while everybody was sleeping. He just moved in another carrier. He just moved in another carrier. Did y'all know about that? Did y'all know about that? Double tap hit the like button. Double tap hit the like button. I heard, so we already had the 10,000 from last week. We already had the 10,000 from last week. Am I froze up again? I froze up again. Maybe froze up again. Am I froze up again? As of April 22nd, 2026, the Trump administration has significantly ramped up military deployments in Middle East due to escalating tensions with Iran. This includes the presence of 3 aircraft carriers. So I reported this last week. There was only 2 aircraft carriers. You know what I'm saying? When I reported this last week, there was only 2 aircraft carriers. When I first said to you about the 10,000 troops, you know what I'm saying? There was 2 aircraft carriers. Now, now we got 3 aircraft carriers. You know what I'm saying? So, and this new aircraft carrier just arrived. Look at Relax and Talk Spot. I froze up. Am I back, man? You know, they dogging me out today, man. They dogging me out today. They keep freezing me up, man. They keep freezing me up. But while my next expose is while you were sleeping, while the Democrats were drunk off their TDS, Trump moved in another aircraft carrier. Like, if you play chess, if you've ever played, you sank my battleships. You sank my battleships. If you ever play anything, but we men, you know, we little boys. Kimberly, you a girl, but if you play video games, if you play battleships, if you play Risk, like I asked, there was a troll a minute ago. He said Iran is winning. I said, tell me how Iran is winning. No answer. I mean, in any measure, any metric, can you tell me how Iran is winning? We just got another aircraft carrier. Imagine if we're playing this, me and Relax and Talk Sports, all the little boys in the room who grew up in the 70s and the 80s, all the little boys who grew up in the 60s, and you had those games like the electric football, and you had the Risk, and you had the Battleship. And imagine playing those games we played when we were kids. And now your opponent has 2 aircraft carriers. You don't have no aircraft carriers. And now, while you're trying to defend yourself against your opponent who has 2 aircraft carriers, and you're trying to put on a propaganda campaign to make it look like you're not losing, your opponent puts another, like you might call your mom, Relax and Talk Sports is cheating. He has 3 aircraft carriers. Son, play the game. Like, do they even have 3 aircraft carriers? Why is he cheating? Because we don't have 3 aircraft carriers, Mom. He must have stole that from Trevor House, because the game only comes with 2 aircraft carriers. He has 3 aircraft carriers on the board now, Mom. He's cheating. And keep in mind, P. Hegesef said we're only using 10% of our Navy. While you were sleeping, while you were calling Trump names, while you were listening to Candace Owens, we now have 3 aircraft carriers in the region, over 10,000 troops, added to the 50,000 troops. You heard about the troops that we have that are trained to go in and get the uranium. I'm asking, how is Iran winning when we are now positioning ourselves? We have a 3rd air. This is what I said. 3 times more strikes. This is what I said. I was in a debate the other day. I said, we were in Iraq and Afghanistan for 20 years. We now have 3 aircraft carriers in the region. Just anybody who thinks logically. I am not saying partisan. I want to talk to people who know about America, who love America, who can be honest. You don't have to be a Republican to answer this question. You do not have to be a Republican to be in this chat room and to be in this discussion. How long you think we stand there? Well, I'm talking, my audience skews from 40 to 65. This is a real question for the adults in the audience. I just reported to you, as of today, we now have 3 aircraft carriers. This is one more than I reported to you last week, on top of the 100 airplanes. A 3rd aircraft carrier. How many planes do we have now? Come on. How many? Give me the numbers now. The USS Gerald R4, which is a CVN-78, recently transitioned the Suez Canal to enter the Red Sea. That's brand new. New key developments. Are you guys listening? I'm giving you some shit right now. For strike operations, it has officially broken the record for the longest career deployment since the Vietnam War, surpassing 296 days at sea. USS George H.W. Bush, another CVN-77. This armada is currently en route to the Middle East, carrying approximately 6,000 soldiers. This is in addition to what I've already told you. People pay attention. I asked them to tell me how Iran is winning. They don't have an answer, so I'm going to give my answer. Thank you, everybody. Let's talk some shit. I asked them to say how Iran is winning. They don't have something to say, so let's keep it going. You know what I'm saying? It is an unusual route among Cape of Good Hope to avoid the Red Sea. USS Abraham Lincoln, a CVN-72, already operating in North Arabian Sea. Ground and special forces, 10,000 additional troops. This infusion of manpower is moving toward the region as part of the USS George H.W. Bush Strike Group and associated units. 82nd Airborne Division, approximately 2,000 soldiers from Fort Bragg, including elements of the headquarters staff, have been deployed or placed on rapid standby to provide ground operations for the president. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Marine Expeditions, the MEU, the 31st MEU aboard the USS Tripoli, and the 11th MEU aboard the USS Boxer are approximately 4,500 additional Marines to the region. Are y'all counting the numbers? The Boxer Amphibious Ready Group is expected to arrive by the end of April. Let me read. Where is that again? Where is that? Where was I at? The Boxer Amphibious Ready Group is expected to arrive by the end of April, bringing the total of recent sent troops to over 10,000. The movements coincide with the expiration of a 2-week ceasefire. President Trump has publicly stated that the U.S. began clearing out the Straits of Hormuz, reporting that all Iran's mainland ships have been sunk. Double tap hit the like button. This is not even like conjecture. You know what I'm saying? This is what we're dealing with right now. Double tap, hit the like button. Double tap, hit the like button. Double tap, hit the like button. Double tap. Let's go back to the video that I talked about where we started this about Iran starving in the bread lines in Iran. Now, remember what I reported to you. As of late April 2026, Iran is experiencing a severe bread crisis, characterized by long queues of rationing and soaring prices following severe economic pressure and regional conflict. Bread and cereal inflation has hit 140%, forcing households to wait in lines for subsidized bread. Many bakeries face flour shortages, with prices for traditional bread far exceeding government rates. Double tap, hit the like button. Nobody giving you this. They want you to think Iran. Look at this shit. Look at Iran.
Landscape of 2026 has turned these imports into a logistical nightmare. While much of the grain originates in Russia, it must navigate the labyrinth of intermediaries, the UAE, Turkey, and Oman. These are not just stops on the map. They are expensive detours necessitated by the global financial blockade. Because Iran is largely severed from international banking, Every ton of wheat carries a sanctioned tax, extra cost for middlemen, complex payment swaps, and the high risk premiums of shipping through the volatile Persian Gulf. The 2026 national budget, submitted under the shadow of conflict, reveals the government's desperate attempts to keep the peace through the stomach. Over 3 billion US dollars, 5,000 trillion reals, has been earmarked for bread subsidies. Yet on the ground, the free flour system is taking over. Now, under the pressure of the naval blockade,
So crime is taking over. They're trying to subsidize, but it's not working.
and domestic strikes on energy infrastructure, the government has been forced to scale back subsidized flour. Many bakers now operate in a gray market.
So they can't make flour because of the war efforts of Americans. Double tap it the like
Buying
button.
flour at market rates and passing the cost to a public already reeling from 140% inflation in the cereal sector. This creates a cruel inequality. The official line, subsidies are intact, wheat stocks are sufficient. The street reality, bakeries are closing at noon because they've run out of flour. Long queues that end in empty hands, prices that fluctuate based on the morning news of a blockade. As we watch the city,
Bakeries are closed because they've run out of flour. I'm just wondering why Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, they ain't telling you this part.
silhouette of tankers sit.
How long can they go without food? Like straight up, like Cuba. Cuba is in back channel talks with Marco Rubio. How long can they go without food? How long can this sustain? When does this turn to violence in the street? Straight up though, straight up. Like how long can they go without bread? We know in history, you remember, let them eat cake, and they came and they killed the royal family. Because remember, let them eat cake, and what happened? They came and they killed the royal family. Because I'm just straight up. How long the people gonna starve before they just? This is anybody gonna answer the question? How long the people gonna starve? Anybody paying attention in Cuba? Let me look up Cuba. Let me look up Cuba. Let's look up Cuba. Cuba is facing the worst economic crisis since the 1990s, resulting in severe food and fuel and medicine shortages, enduring long lines for basic ration goods, with 7 out of 10 reporting skip meals, often due to high prices and low supply. I don't think Americans could do that. 7 out of 10 people report skipping meals. 7 out of 10 people report skipping meals. Huh? How many Americans could skip meals? Huh? Straight up. I like this is the reality of the war that we're waging geopolitically. We went to Venezuela because people say Trump didn't know what he was doing. But we went to Venezuela first and we captured oil that used to go to Iran and that used to go to China, right? The largest oil deposits, the largest gold deposits. We went there first. We then went to our allies in NATO and said, give us Greenland so we can build a golden dome. I think Trump understood that the Iron Dome would not hold up in the conflict. I think Trump always knew. See, people want to tell you that Israel was the one behind this, but what if we already knew that Israel would be the one who would take the brunt? Like no American city has been hit. Think about how ludicrous it is to suggest that Israel is the one who has designed this, engineered this, and behind this, but not one American city has been bombed. I promise you, if I was Israeli, I would not like American media who has painted the Israeli Jew as a bad guy, right? Because Tel Aviv has been struck with ballistic missiles. America hasn't been struck with ballistic missiles. Imagine that philosophy, right? America has not been struck with ballistic missiles, but Americans are so racist and arrogant that they have this whole narrative that Israel is the bad guy and Israel is doing this and tricked Donald Trump and Israel is going to win. But no one in America has died. Israel has been getting beat up. The Iron Dome has failed. The Iron Dome failed. The reason I'm bringing this up, because I'm giving you geopolitically the transition of what took place. We went to Venezuela first. We got Maduro. We took control of the Venezuelan oil and gold. That stopped oil from going to Cuba. Cuba is now behind me. Cuba is now having the same starvation in food lines like in Iran. Is everybody listening to my theory? Cuba is now starving. They have a fuel and a food crisis because we stopped oil going to them because we captured Venezuela first. I think Trump and Pete Hegseth know what they're doing. I support Trump in the Department of War. In fact, it's obvious that they know what they're doing. We went to Greenland, we went to NATO and said, give us Greenland so that we can protect you in Israel. The Iron Dome won't do it. I believe Trump always knew he was going to invade Iran. It had nothing to do with Bibi Netanyahu. It all had to do with Web 3.0, dirty data centers, semiconductor chips, the future of white men in America, and the attack on October 7th, and the Iranian proxies that had been emboldened by Biden policies. They were going to get a nuclear weapon, and they were going to kill somebody. So Trump says, give me Greenland. Give me Greenland, and we're going to build a Golden Dome. If you guys understand math, the Golden Dome, we wouldn't be in Iran right now. If NATO would have been our allies, if NATO would have been our friend, if NATO would have agreed to building a Golden Dome in Greenland, we would not invade Iran until we were done with the Golden Dome. Do you guys understand? This was all in procession. Going to Venezuela, the fall of Cuba, going to Greenland, building the Golden Dome, then we invade Iran. We were always going to invade Iran. We were always going to invade Iran. Right? We were always going to invade Iran. Go to Venezuela, cripple Cuba, we get Greenland, build the Golden Dome, because the Iron Dome, if you think about it, why do we need the Golden Dome if we have the Iron Dome? And think about what else I presented to you. Who has took the brunt of the beating? Tel Aviv, Israel. They're raining missiles, not only from Iran, but from Lebanon. Israel has been taking a beating, not one American city. If you look at the math, how can you say Israel is this bad guy? How can you say Israel is this Palpatine behind the curtain? How do they win if Tel Aviv has been getting missiles rained upon them? How is Israel the boogeyman behind Trump when not one American city has been bombed? America is now, the American dollar is stronger than ever, backed by gold and oil and energy and coal, backed by oil and coal. That hasn't happened in hundreds of years. American dollar is strong. Petrodollar is strong. Now, the speculators want to say it's a short-term win. That they want Iran to be, no, I don't think it's a short-term win. I think it's the new status quo. Trump removed the regulations off of coal, and now everyone is forced to buy energy from America. That's what's backing the dollar in the short term. I want to make it permanent. That's America first. That's MAGA first. NATO didn't back us with Greenland. NATO didn't back us with the Golden Dome. I believe Trump knew that NATO wouldn't back us in Iran because NATO wouldn't back us with the Golden Dome. And the purpose of the Golden Dome was to protect NATO and Israel from the impending attack on Iran. We're going to attack Iran. Why do we need a Golden Dome? Everybody, why do we need a Golden Dome? Why do we need a Golden Dome? We're going to attack Iran. Why do we need the Golden Dome? Why do we need Greenland? Because we're going to go attack Iran, brothers and sisters. That's why we need the Golden Dome. It was always happening. It was always happening. You just didn't understand. It was always happening. Let's go to Cuba, because we're talking about the food lines, not only the shortage, the bread shortage, the starvation in Iran. We're not just talking about today. What I am putting forth And my argument for Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and the people who say Iran is winning, I'm saying Iran is starving. I'm saying to Tucker Carlson, we have now 3 aircraft carriers. I would ask Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, anybody who says Iran is winning, how long do you think the Americans will stay there with 3 aircraft carriers now in the region after us being in the Middle East with Biden 20 years and after Trump saw how detrimental it was the way Biden left the region? How detrimental it was for the Democrats, for Biden and America when Biden left Afghanistan like a pussy. How long do you think the Americans will now stay in the region? This is a, see, because you got to be honest that Americans love war. We a war machine. We a war country. Like we were there 20 years. We a war machine. We a war country. We there now. We there now. Why won't nobody answer me? Why won't nobody answer me? We are there now. How long do you think we will be in the region with 3 aircraft carriers there now and over 10 to 60,000 troops? How long y'all think we're going to stay there? Straight up. And more troops and more ships on the way. I mean, if you look at the historical math of how long we were there and how long we were here and there and all that, how long do you see America staying there? I'm not asking you if Iran is winning, if we winning and China and blah, blah, blah. How long do you think the Americans will stay in the region now that we have the Armada 3 aircraft carriers? I just told you there were 2 last week, and while everybody was laughing and doing their CNN dance, Trump put another motherfucking aircraft carrier. Do you guys understand? While Trump was saying ceasefire and Trump was playing, look over here, you don't see any, you know the penguins? You don't see anything. Trump was playing, you don't see anything. Another motherfucking aircraft carrier. Another aircraft carrier. Another aircraft carrier. So 3 aircraft carriers, Trump? Trump. You got 3? Trump. Oh, man. Oh, man. Trump, you got 3 aircraft carriers, Trump. Let's go to the video because I'm talking about Iranians starving in bread lines. The Iranian soldiers starving in bread lines. Think about what I'm saying. It's not just everyday Iranians. The soldiers and the soldiers' wives and children don't have bread either. The soldiers haven't been paid, so they can't buy bread. Is everybody listening? I don't think y'all understand war. Y'all don't understand war. This is what remember George Washington? Remember the whole story about George Washington, how he became president, how the soldiers haven't been paid, and how he was working back channels with Europe? Do y'all remember the story with George Washington and the soldiers not being paid and how that almost led to we not have America what we have today? Hello? The soldiers are not being paid in Iran. If they were being paid, they still wouldn't be able to afford bread because of 140% inflation. People are starving in Iran, including the soldiers. People are starving in Iran, including the soldiers. Now, this video behind me is people starving in Cuba, including the soldiers. People starving in Cuba, including the soldiers.
Fuel is running out. The island nation is experiencing rolling blackouts and is facing a food and medicine crisis. In the latest sign of a faltering regime, Cuba's government has said international airlines can no longer refuel there due to the shortages. Here at Miami International Airport, we spoke to passengers who landed from Havana. A number of them told us that these are the worst conditions that they've ever seen in Cuba. Cuba has long relied on Venezuelan oil to sustain itself, and following the fall of Nicolas Maduro, that has been threatened. People who arrived here told us the people of Cuba are living under constant anxiety and fear over what could happen next. There is widespread belief that following the U.S. operation in Venezuela, Cuba's government could be the next to be ousted, something that many people that live on the island say is necessary for their survival.
Same thing in Iran. Same thing in Iran, right? How many of you know about this? And this is without not one This is with not one soldier. I repeat, not one soldier, not one boot, not one bullet. No soldiers, no boots on the ground. What I'm reporting to you, no soldiers, no boots on the ground. No soldiers, no boots on the ground. This is Cuba, starving. Y'all want to go back to Iran starving? Let's go back to Iran starving. For people saying Trump and P. Hegseth, this is Iran starving. Huh? This is Iran starving.
Now, this gap is a canyon. It represents a system where the official reality and the lived reality no longer speak the same language.
The official reality and the lived reality no longer speak the same language. Look at the people in Iran. Look at what the destruction has done to Iran. She said what the people are saying, the Iranian media is not matching how everyday Iranians' life is on the ground. The person I debated the other day, I pray you see this expose I'm doing right now, because people try to debate me about the validity of Iran, and they say, oh, you got to go to different sources. This is not an American source telling you what the fuck is happening on the ground in Cuba and in Iran after Trump has gone on his global fucking colonizer spree. Double tap at the like button.
Of this, 55,000 and 76,000 reals respectively. Now, this gap is a canyon. It represents a system where the official reality and the lived reality no longer speak the same language. So when a basic staple triples in price overnight, it is not just inflation, it is an emotional assault on the household. The irony of this crisis is etched into the calendar. Only 2 days ago, Iran marked National Wheat and Bread Day. Historically, this was a day of wheat celebrations, a legacy of the early 2000s when the country proudly declared itself self-sufficient in grain. But
she said this was just a holiday. This used to be a holiday in the early 2000s when the country said we're self-sufficient from grain. So it went from being a holiday to now bread and food lines and people starving in Iran. But remember, Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson say Iran is winning.
As we stand in April 2026, that self-sufficiency is revealed as a fragile mirage. Despite official rhetoric, the math tells us.
You hear what she said? That self-sufficiency is a fragile mirage. What you see from Iran is propaganda. What you see from Iran is a blur. What you see from Iran is a mirage. What I am presenting to you today is the reality in Cuba and Iran. In Cuba, we will have regime change. In Iran, we will have regime change. Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, the people who are against Trump are not being honest with you. Iran is starving. Cuba is starving.
Early 2000s when the country proudly declared itself self-sufficient in grain. But as we stand in April 2026, that self-sufficiency is revealed as a fragile mirage. Despite official rhetoric, the math tells a different story. In the 10 months leading up to Feb, Iran was forced to import approximately 2.75 million tons of wheat valued at nearly $1 billion. The geopolitical landscape of 2026 has turned these imports into a logistical nightmare.
Wow.
While much of the grain originates in Russia, it must navigate the labyrinth of intermediaries, the UAE.
So the grain is in Russia. They don't even grow their own grain. Do y'all understand how and why this is so strategic? And people trying to say Trump is not strategic. They don't have food. And she is explaining why they don't have food. And this is not an American. This is not. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the purpose of a podcast. You're not watching an American who's telling you these truths. This is not a Democrat or a Republican. Can y'all get that through your thick skull? I am giving you information. It's nonpartisan. That's what makes it so powerful. This is nonpartisan. Nonpartisan. This person doesn't have anything to gain. They don't have anything to gain from lying to you, like a social media, like a Tucker Carlson or a CNN. This person is just telling you the truth about what's going on in Iran. And remember what I said? She said this has been going on for 10 months. This didn't just start in February 28th. This food crisis, is everybody listening? This food crisis did not start February 28th when we invaded Iran. This has been going on for months. The inflation, the lack of wheat, it has reached a pinnacle under this conflict. Do you guys understand? They were already in a position where people were protesting in the streets in Iran because people were starving. Now that Trump and this conflict has arrived, it has gotten worse. It has gotten worse. And I told you the soldiers are not being paid now. The starvation has gotten worse. My question, a lot of people talk about how many bombs, how long will Iran keep this up? My question to you is, how long will these people, and I said, let them eat cake, right? Remember when she said, let them eat cake? The people murdered the aristocracy. Let them eat cake. I am asking my chat, how long will these people starve? How long will they starve?
Turkey and Oman. These are not just stops on the map. They are expensive detours necessitated by the global financial blockade. Because Iran is largely severed from international banking, every ton of wheat carries a sanction tax, extra cost for middlemen, complex payment swaps, and the high risk premiums of shipping through the volatile Persian Gulf. The 2026 national budget, submitted under the shadow of conflict, reveals the government's desperate attempts to keep the peace through the stomach. Over 3 billion US dollars, 5,000 trillion rials, has been earmarked for bread subsidies. Yet on the ground, the free flour system is taking over. Now, under the pressure of the naval blockade and domestic strikes on energy infrastructure, the government has been forced to scale back subsidized flour. Many bakers now operate in a gray market, buying flour at market rates and passing the cost to a public already reeling from 140% inflation in the cereal sector.
Wow. Wow. 140% inflation, like I reported. The same numbers I gave you.
This creates a cruel inequality. The official line, subsidies are intact, wheat stocks are sufficient. The street reality, bakeries are closing at noon because they've run out of flour.
Do y'all hear it? Social media, Iran is saying there's no problem, no one is hungry. The reality, bakeries are closing, not even getting in line. There's no bread to buy. How long will the people starve? Bakeries are closing. There's no bread to buy.
Long queues that end in empty hands, prices that fluctuate based on the morning news of a blockade. As we watch the silhouette.
I said earlier, inflation in Iran has reached a point where they said we can't update inflation yearly. We have to update monthly. And she just said long lines that end in empty hands.
Of tankers sitting motionless in a dark, stormy Strait of Hormuz. We must look beyond the military hardware, viewers. The real front line of the Iran conflict is the kitchen table.
So who's that, Rambo? They don't have any flour. They don't have any flour or wheat. They get the wheat from Russia, and the plants to mill the flour are all shut down because of the Trump bombing campaign. Did you hear what she said? You're correct about the ingredients for bread. The main ingredient is flour and wheat. What she is saying is there a wheat shortage. And the other day, somebody in my chat said Earth Day. They used to have a day where they had a wheat celebration. You know, there's a lot of symbolism where you have a gold wheat, a golden calf. where they had a celebration in the 2010s and the early 2000s. Iran created a holiday where they celebrated the fact that they were wheat sufficient and they didn't need to buy wheat from anyone, meaning that they were a strong country. She is saying that it is a strong contrast between when they had a day of celebration of golden wheat till today, where they have bread lines and bakeries closing because they can't get the wheat from Russia. Are you listening? They cannot get the wheat from Russia and the plants that they have. She showed the plants. You want to go back? She showed the plants. The plants that they have to mill the wheat are shut down. So there's no flour. You watching? You see? The plants that they have to mill the wheat are shut down because the Trump bombing campaign. So the bakeries are closed. And she said people wait in line for bread, and at the end of the line, there is no bread because there is no flour and no wheat.
The cost to a public already reeling from 140% inflation in the cereal sector. This creates a cruel inequality. The official line, subsidies are intact, wheat stocks are sufficient. The street reality, bakeries are closing at noon because they've run out of flour. Long queues that end in empty hands, prices that fluctuate based on the morning news of a blockade. As we watch the silhouette of tankers sitting motionless in a dark, stormy Strait of Hormuz, we must look beyond the military hardware, viewers. The real front line of the Iran conflict is the kitchen table. When a government can no longer guarantee the price of a loaf.
Somebody in the chat was upset with the information that this woman is bringing. I'm reporting the news. I'm reacting. I'm a YouTuber. I'm a podcaster. She's telling you these realities, not me. She's telling you these realities, not me. She's not Republican. She's not Democrat. See, this is what TDS is. The person was saying, I'm wrong. I'm not speaking. I'm reacting. I'm reacting to the news that someone who's not an American, someone who's not Republican, someone who's not Democrat, someone who doesn't have a dog in the fight. That's completely impartial. That's why this is such a powerful media. This is why this is such a powerful piece of evidence for my argument. This person is not Democratic. They're not Iranian. They're not even Muslim. They don't have a dog in the fight. They're not Muslim. They're not white. They're not Republican. They're not Democrat. This is pure information. You have TDS. This is pure information. You have TDS. If you can watch this, listen to the information she's teaching you, and then somehow surmise that the host is supremely ignorant. I'll wait.
Loaf of bread, it loses more than just economic control. It loses its social contract. History reminds us that.
See, this is too deep for some people. The social contract. This is what makes governments fall. Maybe you just don't understand it because it's a woman, because it's an intelligent woman. Maybe you're refusing to hear her because she's so intelligent and so spot on. She is saying when you can't afford bread, it affects the social contract. And that's when people question, like and how the Ayatollah Khomeini came to power. Double tap, hit the like button. Like and how the Ayatollah Khomeini came to power. It breaks the social contract. Under the dirty Shah, who was installed by the MI6 and the CIA, there was hyperinflation in food lines. Ayatollah Khomeini promised the people to fix that. This is how you get regime change. When the social contract is broken. And this don't have anything with Jewish people, Israel, or even fucking America America, bro. So I don't know how you can watch this and say something negative about me. It just shows how ignorant you are. She has no reason to lie to you. And it would be better for you to comment on the information being presented. You would show more couth, you would show more intellect if you were able to comment on the information being presented. Iran is starving and Cuba is starving.
Headline after headline about the crisis that's happening here in this country, in the US, but all over the world. So today I want to talk to you about what's happening in Cuba. The inexcusable blockade caused by Donald Trump and Marco Rubio has sent Cubans into absolute disarray. We're seeing Cuba experiencing a nationwide power grid collapse, and people are struggling to get basic things like food, healthcare right now. And frankly, you and I know that the threats that we're seeing are not new, because U.S. has a legacy of.
So, hey, I'm gonna keep giving up the real. I'm gonna keep giving up the real. Cuba is having a food crisis. Cuba is starving. Iran is starving. I'm gonna keep giving up the real.
U.S. oil embargo throttling a nation already beset by decades of U.S. sanctions. Despite the adversities they've faced, Cubans have always proven innovative. Electric cars are popping up across the streets where old American cars were once an iconic sight. Solar panels are becoming a booming industry, channeling the one source of.
God damn, man. It's just like, okay, well, fuck me. It's like, do you understand how liberals, they have electric cars? He's smiling as they're starving. They have electric cars. They are resilient. You know how expensive it is, the human toll for liberals? In order for him to say that, people gotta die. They have electric cars. They are resilient. It's like, you want them to stay communist. You want them to stay poor. To be liberal, bro, to put your ideals over people's life. I talked about it before. They believe in their ideology above other people's, like, breath and oxygen. It's fucking hilarious. Oh, this ain't got no sound. This ain't got no sound. Let's see how this will go. No sound for you too. I think they got sound, but you know how it go.
United States is strangling the Cuban people with its blockade, which leads to daily blackouts, severe gas shortages, and deteriorating medical care. But Cuba is not alone. The 15,600 tons of rice donated by the Chinese government arrived in Cuba on March the 26th. This is the third batch that has arrived. China promised to donate 30,000 tons of rice to Cuba as an emergency food aid in 2026. China also donated 5,000 solar systems to help key departments such as clinics and factories maintain power supplies. And they are now being installed across the country. Just weeks ago, hundreds of activists from around the world also went to Cuba to deliver humanitarian aid like food and medicine and understand the dire struggles average Cuban people are going through. I know there's a hot war going on in West Asia, but I hope you don't forget they are also trying to starve the Cuban people through this blockade.
I'm not laughing at I'm just laughing at the interpretation of liberals of what's happening in Cuba. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at one more liberal, and then I see it's 4 o'clock right now. I see it's 4 o'clock, and I see the numbers. Get the likes up so we can get to 100 likes, y'all.
Of our country. They are cutting them off from the rest of the world through sanctions and total blockade of fuel. A country of 11 million people without fuel. Think about that. Homes, schools, hospitals without power, children without food or medicine. The forced starvation of entire, again, Cuban people. This is pure cruelty. And we all say it together, let Cuba live. The people of Cuba.
Let Cuba live. Do you guys, I just said ideology, ideas. Do you know what it means when she says let Cuba live? It's the same thing when liberals talk about Iran. It's like, okay, so what you're saying is, so you can be ideologically correct, which you're not, because I would have to believe that you're ideologically correct, but you're not. So because your ideology tells you something, some stupid shit like let Cuba live, for anyone with intellect, what that translates into is let Cuba be communist, right? And if you go take it a step further to let Iran live, it's let Iran and the IRGC be Shia and institute Sharia law, have the morality police, beat women, beat gay people. That's the extension of the democratic liberal ideology in their thought process. She just simply said, like, it's simple, like Cuba's not communist, like Cuba was not working with Venezuela against American interests, working with China against American interests, working with Russia against American interests while being on the border of America, while Venezuela was working with the same anti-American countries against American interests. She says simply, let Cuba be free, regardless of how it affects America geopolitically. That's their democratic ideology. That's why Trump asked them, because sometimes it's so illogical. Do you believe in American citizens? Do you believe, this is what he asked them in the State of the Union, that very same bitch. Do you believe that American citizens, you work for them or you work for immigrants? But what did she just say? She didn't say anything about let me or you be free. That's the same bitch who was talking shit about Trump, her and Omar yelling and screaming and cussing. Remember? The same bitch who was yelling, screaming, and cussing, her and Omar. Same bitch. Donna says, surely Iran could ask. That's a good one, man. Surely Iran could ask their good friends and terrorists. Yeah, man. Oh, man. Man. Socialists, communists, fuck them. You should be glad the Democrats voted for affirmative action. Oh, shit. Omar married her brother. Yes, she did. Which is the last few minutes. Y'all know it's the last few minutes of the show because people come in with the crazy shit. I had something else I wanted to show. So I saw Cash Patel, and Cash Patel had to defend himself because I had a beer. You had a beer. 1 beer. 2 beer. 3 beers. I love that one.
That statue of liberty started shaking your face, and the eagle will fly, and it's gonna be in hell. When you hear Mother Freedom started ringing her bell, you feel like the whole wide world is raining down on you. All brought to the courtesy of the red, white, and blue. make it real well. You feel like the whole wide world is raining down on you. All brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
You don't love America. I don't know how you could watch that. I don't know how you could watch that and come away from that with, I want Cash Patel to quit. How can you watch that and the only thing you come away with that is, I want Cash Patel to quit? You know what I saw the other day? And Tom Holman and a couple people, man, they were saying something that we've speculated on our channel in the chat room. And it was, he said, there are people in America, like the Congresswoman I showed, who don't like America. He said there are a lot of people in America who simply don't like America. And I was like, you know, we speculate that. We talk about that on my channel, but it's like, it's a lot of these people who be in Congress and a lot of people you see on TV who don't like America and want to dismantle it. You know what she said? The one, that bitch that was just talking, when she said she shut down the government, because she's a Democrat, one of the Democrats from the squad. And she said she said Homeland Security shouldn't exist, and she and her Democratic cronies want to tear down their government. Now, she's not born in America. Her and Omar, they're not born in America. Their ideology, again, I'm talking to you about these people, the socialist left who have taken over the Democratic Party. Their ideology is not ideology of an American. They weren't born here. They don't love this country. I'm black. They don't love this country the way we love this country. They don't see it the way we see it at all. They don't appreciate, like, it's like the Somalians who would steal 19 billion after giving temporary protection status. They don't appreciate this country. They don't understand. They look at it as an opportunity. And thank God for Trump for stopping them. Thank God for Trump for stopping them. I don't know how you look at Cash Patel celebrating. I don't know how you look at Cash Patel celebrating and and get upset and want Cash Patel. I don't know how you look at that and you want Cash Patel to be fired. I think that's weird. I think that's weird. I think it's weird when you look at the information I presented on the food crisis, and then you want to insult my character. No, they want to assimilate. That's why Japan's prime minister shut down all Islamic, what does she call it? I love her too. It's the first female prime minister of Japan. She's a fan of Trump. Trump was there when she was inaugurated. She's visited Trump recently. Mr. Toyota visited. There's a thing called onshoring, where companies are building manufacturing in America again because of Trump tariffs. I had a video. I took down a lot of my videos because I was having this flash and this freezing thing. But who owns the Dallas Mavericks? What's the guy's name? He talked about Trump RX. He's a Democrat. And he said Trump RX is the best thing that's ever happened. And he's trying to get manufacturing of generic drugs. I guess he owns a drug plant now. Why not? Pharmaceuticals is where the money is. It makes sense if I'm a billionaire, I get into pharmaceuticals. So I guess he owns a pharmaceutical company, but he wants it to be America first. And he wants to onshore jobs, meaning he currently manufactures generics in China. And he says he's working to bring that manufacturing to Dallas, Texas, where he owns the Mavericks. because it would be cheaper to make it here because of the Trump tariffs. If you understand tariffs, but Toyota is doing the same thing. A lot of Canadian companies are doing the same thing. Manufacturing is being onshored in America because of Trump tariffs. Mark Cuban, thank you. Mark Cuban. He's a Democrat. He didn't even want to admit it. Let me see. He didn't even want, Mark Cuban has praised Trump RX initiatives and stupendous and positive step to reducing drug prices. So I don't know if I got a good one. That might not be a good one. Let me see. Because I just have seen this. Let me see if I can find a good one for us.
Down drug prices. That's what cost plus is all about. And he feels that the Trump administration is really making a good start at trying to combat that with most favored nation and with Trump RX. And in fact, he's all in when it comes to Trump RX right now.
We gave them our API. You know, they're going to be a referral site. We're feeding them daily updates because with Cost Plus, as our volumes go up and our prices go down, we pass through those savings. And so it'll be great for us. We're really excited about it. I think it's a great thing. This administration completely different. I'm not saying I'm a Donald Trump fan now, but credit where credit is due. They are trying their best to reduce the cost of prescriptions and of healthcare and of insurance. Now,
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. He gonna shift and say some bullshit, but
they know when I talk to them that all these things I just mentioned to you are the core issues. And what they're doing with Trump RX will help, but it's just so superficial, right? It's not going to change the game and change everybody's lives, right? But at least I give them credit for trying.
That's what he talked about. He said Trump RX is a good start, but that is about a cash market. And yes, you'll have Pfizer on there and you'll have AstraZeneca and others. But one of the things he would like to see, especially as they negotiate these issues during the shutdown for the extending the tax credits for Obamacare, is to add in a provision that would say when people pay cash price because they're not being covered for a drug, they should able to apply that toward their deductible. Here's what he had to say.
As part of these conversations we have in opening back up the government, you know, particularly with the premium support for the ACA plans, they should add to that or, you know, make it part of that and other state legislation that, hey, you know, anybody in this state that buys at a cash price, send it to the insurance company and they have to apply it to the deductible because we're cheaper all the time.
There are a handful of states that have started to do that now in Texas and Tennessee and
red states.
Arkansas, they're working on that, and other states are looking at it. He'd like to see that go nationwide because really for him, the deal is to bring down the costs that he says come from the pharmacy benefit management system to make it more affordable for the patient when they go to that pharmacy counter. Back over to you.
So, Bertha, doesn't the Trump RX then compete with what he's doing on cost plus drugs?
I don't. How did he? Because he said it would benefit them
Trump
and it would be very
RX,
big for them.
Dr. Oz has said that he wants to bring all of these things together. Trump RX is essentially going to be a platform to refer people to the direct-to-consumer providers, particularly from the drug makers. And he's also going to include GoodRx in there as well as Cost Plus. So for Cost Plus, he says if people are going there looking for lower priced drugs, that's going to raise their volumes. It's going to bring more people to them. That's going to allow them to buy more drugs, produce more drugs. In some cases, some of the drugs and shortages that they're producing for hospitals, for examples. So he thinks that's going to really revive the market. But for a lot of us, paying out of pocket and cash and not having it go towards your deductible is tough. In essence, you're paying twice because you're paying insurance, but it's not going towards that deductible on your insurance.
Makes sense. So actually, this could supercharge his growth because it could bring a lot more volumes. Bertha,
That's
really
what he's
interesting.
hoping.
Yeah. I mean, interesting comments, especially from.
Just in case y'all didn't know. About the Trump. I always got some good news. I always got some good Trump news. I always got some good Trump news, man. I keep me some good Trump news in my back pocket, man. I always love having a Democrat champion my president because I know how great he is. I champion his greatness every day, so I know how great he is. But I love having some Trump news in my back pocket, man, and be able to pull that bitch out when somebody get to talking shit like, "Oh, what you say? Hold on, wait a minute. I got something for your ass." What'd you say? And I'll pull out that good Trump card. You know what I'm saying? I pull out that bitch real quick. What did he say? I pulled out that Trump card. Did you know that Mark Cuban gave us props because of GoodRx? And my audience skews 50 to 65 individuals who may need to take medication on a daily basis, who may live on a fixed income, who may need to benefit from something like a Trump RX. Double tap at the like button. Everybody double tap at the like. You know what I'm saying? It's real shit, bro. It's real shit. Trump is the boss, man. Trump is the boss, man. I totally agree with that, man. We did the Nancy Guthrie update. We did the Straits of Hormuz remain closed with the ceasefire remaining in effect. And the reason why I presented the food shortage is so that you understand the logic behind the chess move. The Straits of Hormuz remain closed, but a ceasefire is in place still. Now, people who oppose Trump, who don't like Republicans and don't love America, this is a MAGA America First channel. People who don't love America First, gonna talk shit like, "Oh, Trump still has the ceasefire," and they don't understand the information I presented to you today. They only go surface level. Why would Trump say, "Okay, we're gonna keep the straits closed, but we don't have to do any more bombing"? And no one ever goes deeper to understand why would we say we don't need to do any more bombing? Why would Trump be okay with a ceasefire? Number one, what did I put forth today? While you were sleeping, we have a third aircraft carrier in the region. We have tactical command and supremacy. While they were sleeping and talking shit, we just quietly put a third aircraft carrier in the region. We have tactical command and supremacy of the region. That's number one. That's number one why we don't have to fire another missile. Nothing is moving. And I asked, how long do you think we're going to stay there? Now that we got 10,000, 50,000 troops plus 3 aircraft carriers, how long do you think we're going to stay there? So that's number one. Number two, I presented to you the starving of Cuba and Iran. I said Cuba and Iran are starving. I showed you Cuba. Cuba has been starving for 3 months. They talked about, they didn't want to be honest. Hospitals have shut down. Schools have shut down. Everything is shut down. The only help is a little limited help because Trump threatened China with tariffs if they tried to help Cuba. And that's why it got so bad and why they starved for so long. Eventually, China was able to negotiate with Trump. And don't you love how big balls our president is? Everyone listens to him when he says and makes a tariff threat. He told the world, don't help Cuba or you get a tariff. Everyone listened. Finally, he made a deal with China and allowed them to help Cuba, but not to the point where it will affect the regime change. So today, I presented to you, not only are there 3 aircraft carriers and how many soldiers, to let people know those are my metrics of how I think we have command, tactical command and superiority. But then I presented to you something I don't hear a lot of places, that the soldiers are not being paid, bakeries are closing, and they have had bread shortages for the past 10 months. And with the current conflict, there are people starving and in bread lines. There are people in bread and food lines in Cuba, and there are people in bread and food lines in Iran. And that's not hyperbolic. I showed you the evidence. I showed you the proof of the issue that they have with wheat. The wheat comes from Russia. I gave you the logistics. They get their wheat from Russia. They have a logistical nightmare right now where they have an inability to get the wheat in because of Trump's bombing campaign. I said Iran has a logistical nightmare right now because their wheat comes from Russia, and because of Trump's bombing campaign, they can't get in wheat. Secondarily, because of Trump's bombing campaign, the facilities that mill the wheat into flour are shut down. There is no flour. How many people understand how bread? There is no wheat. And then the facilities needed to mill the wheat into flour are shut down. The silos. I showed the video. If you understand what I'm saying, raw wheat comes in from Russia. They process it because there has to be halal. They process it in Persia, in Iran, in these special facilities. They're shut down. So two things, twofold. The wheat and the pipeline of the wheat from Russia has been affected by bombing campaigns. Hello? The wheat that comes from Russia and the pipeline has been affected by bombing campaigns. I say by design, but you say by acts. I don't know. But this is the reality. The pipeline of which the wheat comes to Iran has been affected. The wheat has stopped. Beyond that, beyond the fact that Trump's bombing campaign has interrupted transportation. Remember, we talk about gas and tractor trailer trucks and bridges and all this shit. Because of Trump's bombing campaign has interrupted transportation commerce of the wheat from Russia to Iran. That's dead. It's over. You can't. They're gonna have to rebuild shit before they can get that back going on a regular basis. That's fucked. That's gone. But beyond that, even if they could get the wheat into Iran, even if they can get the raw wheat from Russia into Iran, Russia doesn't send flour to Iran. Does everybody hear me? I said Russia doesn't send flour to Iran. I said Russia doesn't send flour to Iran. They send raw wheat. And because they're Muslim and they have halal standards, they mill their own wheat so they can present halal wheat to their people. The facilities that would mill that wheat are shut down, are destroyed. So they have bread lines, and they said because there's a lack of flour, bakeries have closed. So people wait in line for bread, and there's no bread. It's the same as in Cuba. So not only are we, while they were sleeping, did we get a third aircraft carrier there? They are starving. Hey, bitch. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow at 1.